Welcome to Infinite Novel Audio. Like, subscribe, and enjoy this video. I saw your request in the comments, so I uploaded this video for you. This novel is still ongoing, and this video, along with the previous one, covers all the chapters the author has released so far. As soon as the author uploads new chapters, I'll make the next video as quickly as I can so you can continue enjoying the story. Thanks for your support. I'm not entirely sure either, but from a quick search, I found that the willow heart is a treasure capable of enhancing one's strength, Wei Wen explained succinctly. As for the white crystal, just holding it allows one to absorb more genetic energy. It must be an even more advanced strength-enhancing treasure. With these treasures, you'll grow faster. These treasures are worth many times more than dragon blood. I can't accept such a reward for my contributions. Despite his intense desire for them, Luo Feng fell silent for a moment before declining. You could use them yourself to improve your own strength. My current abilities aren't much help to you anyway, right? As the saying goes, there's no such thing as a free lunch, and Luo Feng understood this principle well. He and Wei Wen shared a deep bond, having been best friends since childhood. But in Luo Feng's view, their relationship wasn't sufficient grounds to accept a treasure that could drive the entire world into a frenzy. What's between us, there's no need to refuse. I have plenty of such treasures myself. It's just that my current absorption rate is limited, so I'm giving you some, Wei Wen stated calmly. Besides, the increase in your strength might actually be of real help to me someday, so don't worry about it, just use them with peace of mind. But you must keep these treasures a secret. Thank you. Luo Feng wasn't one for false pretenses and chose to accept the treasures. After all, he deeply yearned for greater power to achieve his goals. Goals like enabling his brother to walk again, or turning a secret affection into an open relationship. It was worth noting that during his time at the elite training camp, as Luo Feng's strength grew, his crush on Su Xin had become almost public knowledge. He often chatted with her in secret, learning more about her circumstances. Knowing that the marriage of the eldest daughter of a major family like hers involved many complexities, he understood that the stronger he became, the greater his chances would be. How do I use this willow heart and the white crystal? Luo Feng asked, looking at the willow heart with curiosity. The crystalline shell on the willow heart's surface is extremely tough. The liquid inside is the true essence, Wei Wen explained simply. The method is to pierce the surface shell and orally consume the inner liquid essence. Be careful not to swallow the crystalline shell as well. The process isn't painful like absorbing dragon blood. Instead, it's quite comfortable. The duration of the transformation varies depending on the magnitude of the leap. With these essences, it will be easy for both your warrior and spiritual master abilities to reach the peak of the God of War level. As for the white crystal, you can simply hold it during future training to continuously absorb energy. The rate of improvement might not be as rapid as with the essence. But I sense its effects are more profound, and it will be of great use to powerful individuals like me who have surpassed the God of War level. You've surpassed the God of War level. Luo Feng was stunned by Wei Wen's final words. Luo Feng drew a sharp breath, an expression of disbelief breaking through his usual composure as he stared bewildered at Wei Wen's figure. A powerful God of War was already a colossal figure within a base city. For instance, in the novel, when the God of War Lu Gang died, China held a specific memorial service for him, illustrating the stature of a God of War. As for those who surpassed the God of War level, there seemed to be only a few dozen on the entire Earth. Luo Feng, who had just recently become a warrior, hadn't dared to imagine reaching beyond the God of War level. He never expected that in just a few months, Wei Wen had already surpassed it. This was utterly astounding. Moreover, Wei Wen was very young, possessed immense talent and comprehension, and his future potential was limitless. Luo Feng couldn't help but admire Wei Wen's achievements. My ability to surpass the God of War level is mainly due to my greater latent spiritual power, Wei Wen offered a simple explanation. You'll reach this point sooner or later too. Luo Feng didn't press further. After all, everyone had their own secrets. For example, before his identity as a spiritual master was revealed, he hadn't even told his own parents. Thus, Luo Feng had no intention of probing Wei Wen's secret. Besides, Wei Wen had already given him so many treasures, and he still didn't know how he could possibly repay such kindness in the future. Following Wei Wen's instructions, Luo Feng began to slowly absorb the willow heart. In about an hour, both Luo Feng's warrior physique and his mental strength as a spiritual master reached the peak of the God of War level. Due to the feedback from Luo Feng's progress, Wei Wen's strength as a spiritual master increased significantly. The potency of a single strand of his mental power approached the second level of the planetary stage. As for his warrior strength, while the feedback was substantial, it wasn't enough to break through to the planetary level. After all, the baseline for a planetary level warrior was essentially 100 million kilograms of physical strength and force power. However, he felt his warrior breakthrough had reached a bottleneck. He would likely have to wait until Luo Feng finished absorbing the Muya crystal before he could break through to planetary level. This willow heart elevated me to the limit of the God of War level, increasing my strength more than tenfold. I never expected the effect to be this potent, Luo Feng said, shocked. In his perception, both his warrior physique and mental strength had reached the apprentice level limit, with no room for further increase. Only by surpassing the God of War level could he grow again. All right, it's about time. You can start absorbing the white crystal now, Wei Wen reminded him. Luo Feng immediately sat cross-legged in meditation, a Muya crystal appearing in his hand. The aura emanating from the Muya crystal made Luo Feng's mouth water. Guided by his primal genes, streams of pure energy from the crystal swiftly poured into his body. The energy of the Muya crystal differed from the free genetic energy in the universe. It was exceptionally pure and refined, of extremely high quality. Typically, absorption took about a month to advance to the planetary level. With Luo Feng's superior guidance skills, the process was even faster. Time flew by, and several days passed in the blink of an eye. Atkin's death went largely unnoticed. After all, the affairs of planetary-level powerhouses often moved quickly. Whoosh! Wei Wen, who had been lying down awaiting feedback from Luo Feng, suddenly felt his entire body begin to heat up. At that moment, every cell in his body seemed to boil, and the genetic energy latent within each cell began to gather like droplets of water. The droplets of genetic energy merged into streams, the streams into rivers, ultimately transforming into force. Wave after wave of force continuously rotated and gathered, finally converging in the Danshan region of Wei Wen's abdomen. Boom! There were fundamental differences between the power of spiritual masters and warriors. The origin of a spiritual master lay in the sea of consciousness, while that of a warrior lay in the abdominal Danshan. The Danshan, which seemed not to exist, was born in an instant, akin to Pangu separating heaven and earth. The swirling genetic energy accelerated its rotation, constantly expanding and contracting within the Danshan. With each expansion and contraction, the volume of the force vortex shrank. Suddenly, Wei Wen felt a tremor through both his consciousness and body. His physical body had broken through to the first level of the planetary stage. And within the vast Danshan, a miniature planet of force materialized. His force had also reached the first level of the planetary stage. Crackle, crackle. In an instant, every part of Wei Wen's body, his bones, marrow, skin, meridians, internal organs, began undergoing a rapid, drastic transformation. This transformation was even more exaggerated than the last time his mental power had reached the planetary level. After all, genetic energy involves cellular genetic material. Only a transformation at the genetic level could bring about such a profound change in the body. The physical metamorphosis triggered by breaking through the planetary level with genetic energy was far more intense than achieving it through mental power alone. He felt as if every cell in his body was being shattered and then reconstituted. Having ushered in this new physique, his strength continued to soar, directly reaching the peak of the 9th stage of the planetary level. Furthermore, every planetary-level warrior possessed a special ability, which was said to have some connection to their future talent in comprehending the original laws. I wonder what my special ability will be, Wei Wen couldn't help but muse. Upon reaching the planetary level, a warrior gained an additional means of combat, their unique special ability. Among different planetary-level warriors, some possessed abilities like ice, such as Hong's personal guard, Bing Shan. Others had abilities like light, similar to Hong's domain, which was the domain of light. Of course, according to the novel, these were merely the perceptions of people on Earth. In the vast universe, the myriad special abilities could ultimately be summarized into 8 categories. metal, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, thunder, and light. For instance, Luo Feng's Vajra body was a rare metallic type ability, which seemed to enhance the strength of bones and cells. This was an exceedingly rare ability. With robust bones, muscles, and cells, one could unleash greater explosive power. Simply put, their attacks would be stronger. Especially in terms of defense, genetic energy could integrate into the surface of muscles and skin, resulting in astonishing defensive capabilities at the same level. The specifics weren't detailed further, and this ability was somewhat weakened in the later stages. As for Wei Wen, due to his unique physique and soul, the cosmic energy his body absorbed was different. Consequently, the genetic energy formed through conversion was also distinct. Genetic energy is primarily divided into 8 attributes: metal, wood, water, fire, earth, thunder, wind, and light. Wei Wen's special ability should be bestowed by the original energy of his genes, so his ability was likely the original attribute of metal. Among these 8 categories, none was inherently superior, thus the metal attribute was not bad at all. However, within any category, there existed both extremely powerful and relatively weak special abilities. I'll find out later, it's not critically important to me anyway. Wei Wen shook his head slightly. Suddenly, Wei Wen froze, sensing a change within his sea of consciousness. Ding, congratulations, host, on reaching a certain level of strength. System upgrading, 1%, 2%, 3%, 100%. System upgrade successful. New function unlocked, myriad heavens and worlds. Additional binding opportunity granted. A new function. Wei Wen was momentarily stunned and couldn't help but examine the system panel. Truth be told, his system had an almost negligible presence, aside from frequently prompting information related to his improvements. He had thought he could only bind to Luo Feng, but unexpectedly, there was now an additional binding slot. Of course, this slot couldn't be used within the Swallowed Star world, but was intended for other worlds. Myriad heavens and worlds, Wei Wen pondered thoughtfully. Logically, after his transmigration into Swallowed Star, he was no longer in his original world, so it seemed reasonable that the system could also allow him to travel to other worlds. Wei Wen focused his senses and soon discovered the change in his sea of consciousness. There now seemed to be a unique gate of light. The other side of this light gate connected to other worlds. Wei Wen fell silent for a moment. With a thought, his consciousness sank toward the light gate, and the memories of reading novels became clearer in his mind. Details he had previously overlooked, while reading novels now seemed to sharpen into focus. In a sense, this was another advantage he possessed besides the feedback mechanism, making his recollection of the plot more precise. Naturally, along with clearer memories of the Swallowed Star story, his memories of the Desolate Era also became more distinct. Thus, he guessed that the next world he would travel to would be the Desolate Era. He had initially hoped a world with a relatively lower power level might appear, allowing him to train and gain experience first. The thought of showing off in such a setting seemed quite entertaining. But now it appeared that wish was instantly dashed. The Desolate Era was no minor world. Its level of danger was comparable to the infinite chaotic source space of Swallowed Star. Of course, considering the 3 realms alone, its scale was at most comparable to the original universe in Swallowed Star. However, even the chaosverse of the 3 realms was an immensely powerful world, teeming with experts far beyond the planetary level. After a long internal struggle, Wei Wen finally decided to test it out first, hoping nothing would go wrong. With a thought, Wei Wen's consciousness passed through the light gate and instantly arrived in the Desolate Era. However, this journey wasn't a complete, real-time transmigration, but more akin to a projection. Secondly, his planetary-level strength had also been assimilated within the Desolate Era world. He estimated his current power to be around the level of a first-class, innate Kai practitioner or a first-class, innate God Beast. Wei Wen wasn't entirely certain about the specific combat prowess. With the addition of the myriad heavens and worlds function, he had imagined a weaker world appearing, letting him hone his skills first. Perhaps he'd even be the ceiling of power in a minor world, making it almost too easy to dominate. But now it seemed that wish had failed. The Desolate Era was no small fry. Its danger level rivaled the infinite chaotic source space of Swallowed Star. He planned to first give the desolate era world a try. If it proved too dangerous, he could simply return. How about giving it a try? With that thought, Wei Wen focused his consciousness on the light gate. Suddenly, Wei Wen's consciousness blurred momentarily. When he regained awareness, his projected clone found itself already in the desolate era. And the moment the projection arrived, he also realized his main body was still in the swallowed star world. Understanding this, Wei Wen breathed a sigh of relief. What if his real body had completely transmigrated? Forget about whether ordinary beings could detect anything. If the mighty axe came investigating, wouldn't he be completely exposed? However, while this method ensured his secret remained hidden, his current state was quite peculiar. Simply put, his main body didn't possess high-level consciousness. Of course, his body in the swallowed star world could still perform basic actions like eating and sleeping according to its previous habits. But for more complex and demanding tasks, his consciousness needed to return. He didn't know if this function was limited to this capability, or if his current consciousness was still too weak to manage more. For example, entering the virtual universe or virtual spaces indeed involved the consciousness leaving the body. But when strength reached a certain level, one only needed to branch off a sliver of consciousness to enter the virtual universe. Perhaps it was because Wei Wen's current strength was too weak, preventing him from splitting his consciousness to operate both his main body and clone simultaneously. Naturally, even with his consciousness fully immersed in the desolate era world, he could still monitor the situation of his swallowed star body at any time. Should anything happen, he could return to his main form immediately. After a moment's contemplation, Wei Wen concluded that time travel wasn't a significant issue and promptly shifted his focus to selecting a binding target. Naturally, he didn't overthink it. Anyone with sense knew that binding the protagonist would yield the greatest benefits. Moreover, given his current power level, interacting with supremely powerful beings was beyond his reach. Gulp! The water rhino king smacked its lips, its massive tongue sweeping across the corners of its mouth. I just ate one, and I'm hungry again. Who should I devour next? As it spoke, the demon turned its head, scanning its surroundings. Instantly, the expressions of the captive tribespeople changed, many eyes filling with dread. They had witnessed this powerful, innate monster devouring their clansmen alive. While they were not afraid of death, being eaten was a hellish fate. The water rhino king's gaze abruptly settled on Wei when not far away, its eyes lighting up instantly. This human is at the early innate stage. His skin looks delicate, clean, and youthful. His flesh must be exceptionally tender and delicious. Quickly seize him and bring him to me, the water rhino king commanded, drool already streaking from its mouth. Wei Wen glanced at a certain mid-stage innate demon beast. With a casual wave of his right hand, a palm strike shot forth, impacting the creature's chest. Boom! A dull thud echoed as the great innate beast was hurled high into the air. Its eyes bulged, mouth agape, face flushed crimson. Blood mixed with shattered organs sprayed out before it crashed to the ground over 100 meters away, lifeless and motionless, clearly killed by Wei Wen's single blow. A mid-stage innate demon blasted dozens of feet away with one palm. The great demonic water rhino king reacted, its initial surprise giving way to delight. A genius, eating one probably tastes even better. Swoosh! Dozens of streams of light materialized around Wei Wen. In an instant, the surrounding great innate demons staggered and collapsed. One by one, their hearts, heads, or throats were pierced. Blood instantly dyed the ground red. Every demon was slain. What? The water rhino king, which had been watching with amusement, suddenly sprang to its feet, its expression drastically shifting. The power of Wei Wen's sword formation was immense, shocking even the water rhino king. Initially sensing Wei Wen's aura as merely early innate, it hadn't considered him a threat. Now, however, a trace of fear emerged. Still, it couldn't believe an early innate human could kill a perfect innate demon like itself. Transforming into a black blur, the water rhino king charged. Its massive fist, sheathed in thick stages of ice, smashed directly toward Wei Wen. Judging by its speed and strength, the water rhino king seems comparable to me, which aligns with my earlier estimates, Wei Wen thought privately. Clang! The SS-grade blood shadow sword in Wei Wen's hand swung out, meeting the colossal fist head-on. Boom! A deafening crash, like a mountain collapsing, erupted. The water rhino king was instantly sent flying backward hundreds of meters. The ice encasing its fist exploded, and half of its entire arm was obliterated. A single strike had crippled the great demon's arm. Wei Wen's formidable strength kindled a glimmer of hope and expectation in the eyes of the captive tribespeople. As expected, different worlds have different laws. The power amplification methods from the swallowed star are inapplicable here in the desolate world, Wei Wen mused inwardly. Excellent, the water rhino king roared. Human, you are worthy of forcing me to reveal my true form. A monstrous mist suddenly enveloped the water rhino king, rapidly coalescing into a massive demon over 30 feet tall. The water rhinoceros, with its immense physique, relied on frenzied charges. Only a Zifu-level expert could confront it head-on. A water rhinoceros, Wei Wen raised an eyebrow. I wonder how you taste. Slick. As Wei Wen willed it, the sharp crimson mixed copper alloy fragment sliced through the thick hide of the great demonic water rhino, tearing open a massive wound. Bright red blood gushed forth like a burst dam, revealing glimpses of severed intestines within. Raw! The water rhinoceros, mid-charge, halted abruptly, unleashing a furious and pained cry. I practice the godfiend body refining method. My tough hide is difficult for other great demons of the same level to breach. How is this early innate human so powerful? Its abdominal muscles writhed rapidly, overflowing with godfiend body refining energy. The huge torn wound began to heal swiftly. Despite its efforts, blood continued to seep out, though not as violently as before. The crimson mixed copper fragment leaped up with astonishing agility, spinning and drilling crazily, before piercing the lower neck of the water rhinoceros. Crack! The top of the water rhino king's skull exploded. A stream of light shot more than 30 feet into the air. The water rhino king's eyes widened in disbelief. As an arrogant great demon, it never anticipated meeting its end at the hands of an innate human. As a godfiend body refiner, with the robust vitality typical of great demons, it could potentially survive even a pierced heart. But Wei Wen had targeted the true vital point, the head. Without reaching the realm of regeneration from a single drop of blood, a pierced head almost guaranteed death for a godfiend body refiner. My strength is likely at the Zifu level, Wei Wen analyzed privately. The Kai refining system of the desolate world's Jai clan is notoriously weak, as any reader of the novel knows. For instance, True Immortal / Empyrean God, Deife the / True God, Ancestor Immortal / Elder God occupy the same realms. However, due to the deficiencies in Kai refining, a first-tier god's combat power is comparable to a True Immortal 3rd tier, and a True God's to an Ancestral Immortal 3rd tier. The root cause is the absence of a Chaos Immortal in the three realms, limiting Kai refining methods to at most a 3rd-tier Golden Immortal level. Therefore, Wei Wen's strength was likely on par with early-stage Zifu experts. As a dual cultivator in Kai refining and godfiend body refining, he was no weaker than an ordinary Zifu practitioner. Amazing, the young master slew the great demon. The tribespeople were ecstatic. By the way, where is this place? Wei Wen inquired simply. After some questioning, he quickly ascertained his location, Yambei territory, coincidentally the very land where Jai Enning's Jai clan resided. Note, regarding language, either consider it universal, or assume the projection has lived here for 18 years and has complete mastery of it. Jai clan West Mansion. West Mansion City was a large settlement housing hundreds of thousands. Wei Wen walked along its busiest avenue, a thoroughfare frequented by merchants and practitioners alike. Silently, he made his way toward the Jai clan's West Mansion. You have chosen to bind Jai Enning as a friend. Strength feedback will commence shortly. Jai clan West Mansion. Within a massive cage, Jai Enning was engaged in a one-on-one battle with a monster. This cage battle was a rite of passage for important Jai clan disciples, though nearly half perished within. The giant crimson serpent couldn't fathom that this human youth, Jai Enning, was using it to practice swordsmanship. Numerous wounds covered its body, yet none were fatal. The boy before it, however, bore only minor injuries that healed completely in the blink of an eye. Particularly chilling was the cold, terrifying gleam in the youth's eyes, which made the serpent's heart quail. It understood then, it would likely die by this human boy's hand today. The massive crimson serpent abruptly reared its head and unleashed a deafening roar. It was a roar of utmost frenzy, filled with grief, fury, defiance, and a desperate resolve to perish. Yet, even in death, its innate pride would not allow it to die so ignominiously. Above the inner city of the Jai clan, amidst the sea of clouds and mist, one particular cloud was, in fact, the winged serpent from Serpentwing Lake. Zrugor. As a peak innate level great demon, the winged serpent possessed hearing of extreme sensitivity. This was the cry of its own offspring, a sound it knew intimately. How could it possibly fail to hear it? The winged serpent had, in truth, been hovering over the inner city for some time, searching intently. However, being several li away, even its keen eyesight could not encompass everything. Now, having confirmed the direction and approximate distance, it immediately pinpointed the sound as originating from the Jai clan's west manor. The winged serpent transformed into a streak of light, shooting directly toward the west manor. Within the cage. So you wish to die, then die. Hearing the crimson serpent's roar before him, Jai Enning understood its unyielding stance. A flash of sword light, and the serpent's head was pierced. Good, Jai Enning looked at the massive corpse and began to analyze the battle's outcome. The Thunderflame sword art is indeed immensely powerful. It blasted such a huge hole straight through the serpent's chest and abdomen, nearly cleaving its body in two. As for the merciless waterflow and the thunderflash flint, in essence, they share the same core principle: speed. The relentless speed of merciless waterflow leans toward the ethereal, while the speed of thunderflash flint embodies the violent aesthetics of swiftness. The penetrating power of the raindrop pierces rock's sword technique is excellent. With a single move, it easily pierced through the serpent demon's skull. At that moment, the winged serpent saw Jai Enning pointing his sword at the body of the great crimson serpent, and instantly flew into a rage. Human, pay with your life for my child. The violent air currents generated by the winged serpent's high-speed dive caused Jai Enning, still trapped within the cage, to look up in alarm. The endless, palpable killing intent radiating from the winged serpent terrified Jai Enning, making him realize one thing with crystal clarity. This creature was far stronger than he was. No, I have to run. Jai Enning turned to flee, but helplessly remembered he was confined within a cage. Father, Jai Enning shouted. Then, erupting with all his strength, he struck directly at the thick, dense iron chains above the cage. Although the speed of sound transmission was fast, it would still take time for his father, Jai Yichuan, to arrive. At the winged serpent's speed, his father would undoubtedly be too late. Pay for my child's life. The swooping winged serpent's crimson eyes fixed on Jai Enning like those of a madman. It's too late, I can only rely on myself now. Jai Enning instantly understood this and prepared for a desperate counterattack. Unfortunately, whether in Kai cultivation or body training, Jai Enning was merely at the Haoshan level, no match for the winged serpent. He immediately utilized his movement technique to dodge. No! A powerful sense of reluctance surged in Jai Enning's heart. In this life since his reincarnation, he had gained a healthy body, loving parents, and the precious opportunity to control his own destiny and embark on the path to immortality. He had dedicated himself to cultivation until now. Everything was just beginning. He was truly unwilling to perish like this. Move, Enning's powerful survival instinct awakened. He frantically executed his windwing evasion. Whoosh! Whoosh! The wind howled. The windwing evasion was performed at an extreme speed. Enning's figure became like a wisp of blue smoke, whistling through the gale. Your bound friend, Jai Enning, has comprehended the windwing evasion. Your understanding of the wind origin law is continuously improving. Congratulations on comprehending the first level of the wind domain, true meaning of the raging wind. He had grasped the first level of the wind domain. Wei Wen found this breakthrough somewhat unbelievable. Domains might not be a monumental achievement in the swallowed star, as many universe-level experts mastered them. But if placed at the planetary level, it was the mark of a monster, a heaven-defying monster. Take Hong, the strongest man on Earth. The very reason he could be called invincible at the planetary level was because he possessed a domain. Even if Thunder God was physically stronger and had greater raw power, he would still be toyed with by Hong. And now, Wei Wen directly possessed a domain due to Jai Enning's feedback, sending waves of ecstasy through him. If he just persisted a while longer, even Hong would no longer be his match. After all, Hong was far inferior to Wei Wen in terms of force multiplication and spiritual force amplitude. Thanks to repeated feedback, Wei Wen's force multiplication had already exceeded 10-fold, and his spiritual force amplitude had now reached 18-fold. As for the world's second-ranked Thunder God, he was likely no longer a match either. But after a burst of excitement came a period of sagely boredom. After all, his vision differed from that of Hong and Thunder God, and the goals he pursued were different. At the very least, his aspirations surpassed theirs. Because in the novel, this character, Wei Wen, could practically achieve immortality by just lying down. Perhaps for Hong and Thunder God, natives born on Earth, becoming a star-level existence was an immense luxury. But for Wei Wen, achieving immortality was the lowest, most basic goal. At the very least, he had to become the strongest in the universe, or even transcend the origin continent and become a lord of chaotic origin. That might be Wei Wen's true ambition. Of course, while his ambition was grand, he still had to work diligently, step by step. Now that Jai Enning has broken through, the battle should be over. Wei Wen couldn't help but show a trace of excitement as he watched Jai Enning in his moment of epiphany. Wei Wen casually pointed a finger. A stream of blood-red light streaked through the void, striking the winged serpent's head with the force of thunderflash flint. He saw the winged serpent's tail lash out violently, but it merely swept past Enning, striking the thick rock wall of Dragon Castle instead. Escaped, the winged serpent was startled. You got lucky once, do you think you can escape a second time? HMPH, the winged serpent raised its wings again, preparing for another strike. Although Jai Enning had made a breakthrough, no matter how strong, he was still only at the Haoshan level. The winged serpent could overpower him with sheer force. It's over. Jai Enning watched as darkness swept across everything before him. The enormous black shadow of the serpent's tail completely enveloped Jai Enning. His movement technique was superb, but his speed was insufficient to evade this blow. Suddenly, Jai Enning heard a faint tremor. He looked at the winged serpent before him in astonishment. He saw the serpent's several hundred-meter-long body lose all support and plummet suddenly before his eyes, raising another huge cloud of dust. The winged serpent died without even knowing how it was killed or who killed it, an utterly ignoble death. As the dust settled, Jai Enning quickly spotted Wei Wen ahead and understood that the winged serpent had been slain by him. In the distance, Jai Yichuan was practicing with a long blue sword, thrusting at a wooden stake. Beside him was Jai Enning's mother, Yuchi Zhu. Jai Yichuan and Yuchi Zhu simultaneously turned their heads in one direction, instantly sensing a violent disturbance in the airflow. It's coming from the direction of the West Manor's Dragon Castle cage. Jai Yichuan and his wife transformed into streams of light simultaneously, leaping onto the roof with a whoosh and speeding toward Dragon Castle. They saw a colossal flying demonic winged serpent in the sky above Dragon Castle, and below it Jai Enning, covered in the blood of the crimson serpent. The distance was too great, they couldn't make it in time. Yuchi Zhu was so anxious that tears streamed down her face. But before they could rush over, they were shocked to discover the winged serpent falling powerlessly, dropping like a lifeless corpse. Dead! Jai Yichuan and Yuchi Zhu were not unfamiliar with this winged serpent. To kill the winged serpent so silently required at least Zifu-level strength. Since when did the Jai clan have a Zifu-level powerhouse within their territory? One must know that even within the entire Jai clan's West Manor, powerful Zifu individuals were exceedingly rare. In any case, a Zifu-level existence represented the pinnacle of power in the entire Yanshan region. As a mysterious Zifu-level expert appeared, Jai Yichuan and Yuchi Zhu hurried over. Ninga, a voice tinged with anxiety, called out. Jai Enning looked up to see his mother, Yuchi Zhu, approaching from a distance, her face etched with worry. Don't worry, mother, this senior has already killed the winged snake, Jai Enning quickly reassured her. You're covered in blood, you nearly frightened me to death earlier, Yuchi Zhu said, her voice trembling. If anything had happened to you, I truly wouldn't know what to do. Seeing Jai Enning standing there safe and sound, tears of relief welled up in her eyes. This isn't my blood, it's from the monster I killed earlier, Jai Enning explained simply. Jai Yichuan, having ascertained his son was unharmed, turned his attention to Wei Wen. I thank you deeply for saving my son, Jai Enning. May I ask your name? He was once a powerhouse of the Zifu realm. Although his strength had declined due to severe injuries, he could still perceive that Wei Wen's aura seemed to be that of an early-stage innate practitioner. But what level of power was the winged snake? Could an early-stage innate truly have slain the winged snake in an instant? The god and demon techniques recorded in the Crimson Bright diagram of 9 heavens might allow one to accomplish such a feat innately. However, Wei Wen's body-refining aura did not resemble that of a practitioner of the Crimson Bright diagram of 9 heavens. The Crimson Bright diagram of 9 heavens was renowned as the foremost technique for refining the god and demon body. Could it be that Wei Wen possessed a method comparable to it? Regardless, the fact remained that Wei Wen had killed the winged snake, proving he was not as simple as he appeared. Wei Wen, came the casual reply. Wei Wen. Among the 6 top clans of Yanshan with Zifu realm powerhouses, there was no Wei clan, so Wei Wen likely was not from the Yanshan region. I have arranged for a banquet to be prepared as a token of our gratitude. Please wait a moment, Jai Yichuan invited. Very well. Wei Wen had no reason to refuse. Although he had already formed a bond with Jai Enning, there was no harm in establishing a good relationship. Moreover, offering Jai Enning occasional guidance could help him obtain certain opportunities more swiftly, such as the inheritance of the star-seizing manor left by the true god, Taoist Three Lives. In a grand hall of the Jai family, Jai Yichuan and Wei Wen naturally took the seats of honor on either side of the main table, while the others found their places. The table was laden with fine wine and meat. To be honest, Jai Enning was intensely curious about Wei Wen, especially after learning from his parents that this senior possessed only innate level strength. Jai Enning's comprehension was extraordinarily high, but his body suffered from innate deficiencies. His meridians were narrow, rendering his talent for Kai refining exceedingly poor. For instance, while he had cultivated the most difficult Crimson Bright diagram of 9 heavens in the Great Xia world to the very cusp of the innate realm, the simpler path of Kai refining had only brought him to the acquired level. But still shaken from the earlier fright, Yuchizu suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood while eating, her spirit visibly wilting. Perhaps Jai Enning was unaware that his mother suffered from a spiritual malady, but his father, Jai Yichuan, understood the situation perfectly. Of course, Wei Wen also knew what was happening. If his memory served, shortly after Jai Enning received his inheritance, he would discover his mother was on the verge of passing away. Mother, what's wrong? Jai Enning looked at his mother but found her silent. He then turned to his father. Jai Yichuan remained silent for a moment, feeling there was no need to conceal this from Jai Enning. He would find out sooner or later anyway. Moreover, Jai Yichuan could see that Jai Enning's mind had matured, telling him would do no harm. Before you were born, when your mother and I ventured outside, we were not so fortunate. We were gravely injured, Jai Yichuan began slowly. Though your mother barely managed to preserve both her life and yours, I estimate she has, at most, a year and a half left. His wife had been at the perfect innate level. The injuries from that disaster were severe, but treatment might not have been too late then. However, his wife had also employed a life-consuming secret art to forcibly sustain the fetus, Jai Enning, within her womb. This was tantamount to driving another blade into an already critically injured body. Though Jai Yichuan did not spell everything out, how could someone as intelligent as Jai Enning fail to understand? His mother's worsening condition was likely because of him. Indeed, his guess was correct. Had Yuchizu not insisted on giving birth to Jai Enning, the depletion of her own life force would not have been so severe. Mother, if not for me, you wouldn't be. I will find a way to save you. Discomfort flashed across Jai Enning's face, quickly replaced by a look of steely determination. Haha, it warms my heart that Ninga has such intentions, Yuchizu comforted him, her face pale. In truth, she understood her own injuries better than anyone. The damage was not merely physical, her very lifespan was injured. To truly survive, her lifespan needed to be extended, but her realm had long since fallen to the mortal level. Extending the life of a mortal was far more difficult than for a cultivator. Conventionally, there were 2 types of life-extending pills. One was for immortal cultivators. Such pills were valuable, but not exceedingly rare. A powerful Wangxiang master typically possessed the wealth to acquire one. Note: Cultivation Realm, Haoshan Right Arrow, Xianshan Right Arrow, Zifu Disciple Right Arrow, Wangxiang, Adept Right Arrow, Primal Taoist / Primal. The other kind was the life-extending pill for mortals. Because mortals had frail bodies and weaker endurance, these pills were far more precious. Not to mention Wangxiang masters, even Yuanshan Taoists might not be able to produce them. Generally, only a powerhouse at the level of an earth immortal would have the requisite wealth. Born into the Yuchi clan, which had once produced Earth immortal powerholders, and even immortals, Yuchizu knew precisely the cost of extending a mortal's life. Her words were merely to spare Jai Enning grief. Jai Enning, Wei Wen broke his silence, preparing to tell the youth the truth so he might be mentally prepared. After all, Wei Wen himself was uncertain if items like spirit herbs or wood crystals, brimming with potent vitality from his own world, would be effective for this type of lifespan injury in the primal desolate era. If you wish to truly save your mother, you will need a life-extending pill. Do you know how precious a pill that can extend a mortal's life truly is? I do not know, Jai Enning admitted honestly, taken aback. Senior Wei Wen, I am unaware of such a pill for mortals. Does an immortal possess it? Wei Wen sighed. Perhaps only by reaching the immortal realm could you obtain the means to extend your mother's life, but within a year and a half, are you confident you can become an immortal? Hearing this, Jai Enning was stunned into silence. Jai Yichuan glanced back at his 10-year-old son, himself falling into a heavy silence. On one side was his son, on the other, his lifelong companion. No one knew Yuchizu's condition better than he did, and he understood in his heart that Wei Wen's words were no exaggeration. He usually avoided this topic, but having traveled the outside world, he knew the worth of a mortal life-extending pill was a price he, a man with a damaged zifu and diminished strength, could never bear. Ninga, do not grieve. Birth, old age, sickness, and death are the natural order. I have already made my peace with it, otherwise I would not have risked my life to bring you into this world. Yuchizu did not share the same anxieties as her husband and son. She glanced at her silent husband before speaking directly to Jai Enning. The young Jai Enning looked at his mother's forced smile and his father's continued silence following Wei Wen's words. In his heart, he was already certain of the truth behind Wei Wen's statement. Jai Enning could no longer hold back his tears. His entire body trembled with agony, his heart feeling as if twisted by a knife. The mother who had loved him since childhood, the mother who cherished him above all else, the mother whose eyes always shone with affection and indulgence when she smiled at him, was she truly about to leave him? Blood began to trickle from Jai Enning's nostrils, then from his ears. Clearly, this overwhelming surge of emotion was inflicting harm upon both his body and spirit. Jai Enning's heart ached. To save his mother, he needed a pill capable of extending the lifespan of a mortal. Such a treasure was immensely valuable, worthy of being called a divine pill, something he had never even heard of. Typically, only primal Taoist or Earth immortals could obtain it. Ninga, your talent surpasses ours. It can be said you are destined for the path of immortality, Yuchizu consoled weakly. An immortal cultivator's life is long. Unless our family members also cultivate immortality, you will inevitably watch your loved ones age and pass away, one by one. This can actually be considered training for your cultivation journey. After all, if you choose the path of immortality, you must be mentally prepared in advance. Even if you grieve now, you must break free from that sorrow. Otherwise, you will never overcome the 3 tribulations and 9 calamities in the future. But mother, you are still so young. You shouldn't have to die because of me so soon. Jai Enning felt a chill seize his heart. Suddenly, he thought of something. Senior Wei Wen knows much about the world. Could there be a way? After much hesitation, Jai Enning finally couldn't help but ask. All I can say is, it's worth a try. Here, see if this works. Wei Wen fell silent for a moment before producing a Millennium Willow Heart and tossing it to Jai Enning. It wasn't that the wood essence crystal was inferior, but Yuchizu's current physical state simply couldn't withstand its potent energy. If a junior Zifu-level monster swallowed such a crystal, it would explode and die. Jai Enning caught the willow heart. It was an egg-shaped green crystal with a peculiar structure, as if rippling green liquid flowed inside. Merely looking at the willow heart made Jai Enning's heart race with excitement. Waves of cool energy seeped into his skin, refreshing his entire being. The Millennium Willow Heart had 2 major effects. One was its life force, which could enhance cellular activity and improve physical fitness without causing harm. Of course, the primary method of increasing strength in this world was through promoting genetic evolution, so this effect was likely useless here. But for Yuchizu now, it was probably the best treasure available. Thank you, Senior. Could this be a life-extending pill? Although Jai Enning knew nothing about spiritual medicines, he could still sense the powerful vitality emanating from the willow heart, filling him with immense excitement. Yet he also found it hard to believe. Hadn't Wei Wen just said only a powerful immortal could obtain such a thing? But perhaps Wei Wen had an extraordinary background or encountered some great opportunity. It wouldn't be surprising for him to possess a life-extending treasure suitable for mortals. At this moment, Jai Enning had no idea why Wei Wen would carry such an extremely precious pill that seemed useless to him. After all, Wei Wen appeared to be a young man, perhaps just of age. Such a miraculous pill held little meaning for him. However, no matter how incredible it seemed, Jai Enning didn't dwell on it. What mattered most was his mother, regardless of Wei Wen's reasons, as long as it could save her. But then Jai Enning considered, there are no free meals in this world. He seemed to have nothing to offer in exchange, and he couldn't help but hesitate. Might I ask what Senior wishes me to do? Jai Enning gradually calmed down, regaining his composure. Actually, I don't want you to do anything, Wei Wen said, looking at the excited Jai Enning, a faint smile appearing on his face. Indeed, this item was effective, which excited Wei Wen even more, because some opportunities might be common to both worlds. In other words, the gains his projected clone obtained in the primordial era could also benefit his main body in the swallowed star world. As long as Jai Enning grew step by step and continued to acquire opportunities, wouldn't it be easier for Wei Wen to rise in both worlds? So for Wei Wen, he only needed to ensure Jai Enning could obtain opportunities steadily. You don't want me to do anything, Jai Enning suddenly looked bewildered. Although Jai Enning appeared only 10 years old, he had lived additional years before his reincarnation. He understood well that since this so-called treasure was so precious, Wei Wen likely wouldn't give it to him for nothing. Logically, there should be something he needed to do right. It wasn't that Jai Enning suffered from persecution paranoia, but he couldn't help but wonder what Wei Wen desired. You don't need to worry about that. To put it bluntly, you're not even an innate expert yet. What could you possibly do for me? Wei Wen shook his head slightly. Of course, if you truly feel indebted, I do have an idea. Refine your body as soon as possible through the god and demon refining method to break through to the innate level. I previously discovered a special place of opportunity, but missed my chance. However, with your aptitude, you might be able to obtain an opportunity there. Jai Enning obtaining the inheritance of the star-seizing manor was equivalent to Wei Wen obtaining it. Why not? Moreover, investing in Jai Enning's future would yield far greater returns than this single inheritance. In short, the stronger Jai Enning became, the happier Wei Wen would be. After all, he could rely on Jai Enning to improve his own situation, right? That's all, Jai Enning let out a sigh of relief. In truth, even if Jai Enning knew Wei Wen might have ulterior motives, Jai Enning was a person who valued loyalty and love. For his mother's sake, he didn't care. This treasure is far less precious than you imagine. Its value isn't even comparable to a human-grade magic weapon used by an ordinary Zifu master, Wei Wen said lightly. And if you can obtain those resources, it's a mutually beneficial arrangement for us. At the very least in this transaction, I will definitely profit greatly. Indeed, venturing into the endless lands beyond was much more dangerous than staying in Yanshan. After all, the outside world was filled with powerful beings, opportunities, and dangers. Fellow adventurers like Yu Qizhu and Jai Yichuan had encountered peril outside and ended up in their current state. So if risks were to be taken, let the protagonist Jai Enning face them. After all, he was just an innate expert with Zifu-level combat power. How is this used? Jai Enning asked uncertainly. It's very simple. Break the shell and drink the vegetation spirit inside, Wei Wen explained plainly. Jai Enning handed the willow heart to his mother. Both Jai Yichuan and Yu Qizhu were veterans of the North Sea. Jai Yichuan had already reached the Zifu level before his calamity, and could see at a glance that although the willow heart wasn't a divine pill, it contained powerful vitality. It might not restore all consumed life force, but it could at least recover what was lost due to the secret technique, granting her over a decade more of life. The vegetation spirit was absorbed immediately upon entering her mouth. Before Yu Qizhu could fully react, surging vitality began washing through her body, revitalizing it. The life force depleted due to injuries and childbirth started gradually recovering. In just about half an hour, Yu Qizhu regained the vitality consumed by the secret technique. However, the opportunity had been missed due to hidden injuries from back then. Relying solely on the vegetation spirit here had no effect on that. Previously, Yu Qizhu only maintained a youthful appearance, but if one sensed carefully, her spirit felt like that of a dying elder. Now, even Jai Yichuan could feel sun-like vitality radiating from her. The aura of twilight had been completely swept away. Both Jai Yichuan and Jai Enning were overjoyed. As long as Yu Qizhu recovered slightly, they would have more time to save her in the future. Jai Enning felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted, his entire body becoming much more relaxed in an instant. Having endured this trial, Jai Enninx will have grown more resilient. He would now develop his spiritual consciousness faster, and his Dao heart would become firmer. Your bound friend Jai Enning has honed his Dao heart. You have received relevant adaptive feedback. Congratulations, your soul consciousness and will have improved. Wilderness mind and Dao heart have significantly increased. The average chirofining Zifu stage expert is capable of multitasking, akin to controlling a sword formation in battle. As for Jai Enning in the original work, when he broke through to the innate realm of the crimson bright diagram of the 9 heavens at age 11, his soul had already reached a higher level, that of a spiritual consciousness. It is generally only upon reaching the true God stage that a soul can attain the level of divine thoughts. To possess a spiritual consciousness level, one typically needs to be at the true God stage. Of course, the reason Jai Enninx's soul was so heaven-defying was due to a fortuitous encounter during his reincarnation in the netherworld, where he obtained the visualization diagram of Nuwa, who is a world god. Visualization methods are profoundly mysterious and exceedingly rare. Within the entire Jai clan, there was no such technique. Therefore, for most people to strengthen their soul, they must undergo the trials and tribulations of life to temper their will, enlightenment, and physical body, which in turn nourishes the soul. Jai Enning had previously practiced the visualization method Nuwa's painting for 10 years, nearly reaching a certain limit. Now, having experienced further ups and downs, Jai Enninx's soul had unknowingly advanced to the level of spiritual consciousness. This concept of the soul's spirit and Tao heart, if translated to swallowed star, would correspond to consciousness and will. Before, I was worried that if my consciousness and will were too weak, the feedback from any opportunities given by Luo Feng might overwhelm me, Wei Wen secretly rejoiced. But now, with a good friend like Jai Enning, at least I won't have to worry about my consciousness and will in the future. Moreover, stronger consciousness and will should aid in comprehending the laws of origin. Take Hong and Thunder God, for example. Their comprehension and mental capacity are clearly not on par with Luo Feng and Bo Lan, yet they continue to grow. For instance, while Bo Lan's ultimate achievement is only that of a universe master, Thunder God also reached that level, and Hong surpassed it. Senior Wei Wen's kindness is something I, Jai Enning, will never forget. Jai Enning immediately took a step back, about to bow in salute, but with a mere thought from Wei Wen, the bowing Jai Enning was gently supported. To be honest, Wei Wen had received feedback from Jai Enning repeatedly, and there would be more in the future. It was Wei Wen who should be more grateful. There's no need to call me senior from now on, just call me brother, Wei Wen said with a smile, and no more thanks. Brother Jai Enning, these treasures are trivial, nothing precious. Shall we stand here forever? In truth, Wei Wen greatly admired people like Jai Enning and Luo Feng. Becoming sworn brothers with such kind and righteous individuals was most fitting. Because their character guaranteed they would never betray him, Wei Wen could safely entrust his back to them without fear of a stab in the dark. Such a profound kindness. If Brother Wei ever has need in the future, I, Enning, will repay it even with my life, Jai Enning declared, his gaze unwavering. A feast, we must hold a feast, Jai Yichuan exclaimed, looking pleasantly surprised. Wei Wen knew Jai Yichuan harbored doubts. After all, acting so generously without seeking anything in return went against common sense. But from the perspective of Jai Yichuan and Yu Chixu, Wei Wen bore no ill intent. Otherwise, with Wei Wen's strength, there would be no need for any schemes. After the banquet, despite repeated pleas from Jai Enning and Jai Yichuan for him to stay, Wei Wen still departed from the Jai clan's west mansion. The danger level in the wilderness era far surpassed that of the earth in Swallowed Star. His goal of binding Jai Enning was accomplished. There was no need for him to linger here for long, as it wasn't entirely safe. It was better to focus his efforts on the world of Swallowed Star. Jai Enning, remember the general direction I mentioned. When your Kaiming 9 Heavens technique breaks through to the innate stage, you can try your luck there, but be cautious, Wei Wen advised with a smile. Don't worry, Brother Wei. I will definitely go and investigate once I break through to the innate realm, Jai Enning replied, his eyes filled with anticipation. Swallowed Star. In October, November and December, Wei Wen continued to hold the top spot on the elite training camp's Black Dragon ranking. Luo Feng's performance was also impressive. All major factions had taken note of these two talented youths, both only 18 years old, who had achieved remarkable results shortly after joining the elite training camp. Though they had gained fame and become rare talents within the camp, they generally maintained a low profile, seldom appearing in public spaces. Luo Feng trained diligently within the camp, primarily using the Mu Ya crystal to enhance his strength. He soon broke through to become a planetary-level warrior and a spirit master. Luo Feng became the sixth person to reach this level, but did not openly reveal his strength. After all, upon reaching the planet level through the Mu Ya crystal, he could well imagine its value, enough to drive other planetary-level powerhouses into a frenzy. If the Mu Ya crystal were exposed, he would be unable to withstand the pressure from those powerhouses. His choices mirrored Wei Wen's, to remain silently within the elite training camp. Aside from his roommates Zhao Ruo and Shi Jiang, who lived next door in Jiangnan Pavilion, others in the camp rarely saw Wei Wen or Luo Feng. Of course, everyone knew they spent most of their time cultivating within their own pavilions, and many marveled at their diligence. Yet no one ever realized that the hard-training geniuses they envisioned were, in fact, planetary-level beings who had already surpassed the God of War level. As for Wei Wen, while his current true strength in an all-out burst might still be slightly inferior to Hong's, it was no longer possible for Hong to kill him. After all, Hong lacked a weapon capable of piercing the Black God's suit, whereas Wei Wen possessed that advantage. In the quiet basement of Luo Feng's residence, Luo Feng released his right hand, looking at the now dim Mu Ya crystal. It's almost time for the elite training camp's January-February holiday. By Wei Wen's estimation, I am now a planetary level 2 warrior and spirit master, Luo Feng revealed a smile. After the holiday, I should be able to fulfill my original dream. At the global headquarters of Thunder Dojo, within a chamber similar to a gravity room, Hong, clad in black, stood as straight as a spear. Opposite him was a bald man. This retreat has allowed us to confirm and fully refine our power exertion techniques, Hong said with a faint smile. Having reached this level, I doubt there are any opponents left on the entire planet. Making even the slightest breakthrough is extremely difficult now. Who knows when we will reach the limits of the planetary level, or even become star-level powerhouses. Darn it, the bald young man, Earth's second strongest, the Thunder God, grumbled, scratching his head, devoid of the demeanor of a peerless expert. I helped you solve your force exertion issue, Brother Hong, but this domain you talk about, even if I try to comprehend it constantly, I just can't grasp it. Hong had possessed his domain for so long, yet Thunder God still couldn't perceive it. Speaking of which, Wei Wen hasn't entered the trial tower in months. Is he making such rapid progress that he's deliberately lying low? Maybe he's preparing some big move, Thunder God mused, as if struck by a thought. He had been utterly shocked by Wei Wen's talent, but Wei Wen's lack of notable performance over the past 3 months was clearly unusual. You mentioned that, and I'm curious too. How about we go and see for ourselves? Hong's eyes also held a glint of anticipation. Holy shit, Hong, who had just arrived at the elite training camp wearing his auxiliary smart device, was utterly dumbfounded. Auxiliary intelligences generally possess strength detection capabilities. For instance, one of Luo Feng's rewards from Ruins No. 9 was such a device. Hong's auxiliary intelligence could even construct virtual spaces like the God of War Palace and the elite training camp, clearly no less advanced than Luo Feng's. What is it? Thunder God looked at Hong's stunned expression, feeling equally puzzled. Besides Old Wang, there are actually 2 other planetary-level powerhouses in this elite training camp, and they're stronger than him, Hong uttered, his voice laced with disbelief. 2 more planetary-level powerhouses. Thunder God was also taken aback. This is your Extreme Martial Hall's elite training camp. Brother Hong, you mean you weren't even aware of them? However, as they approached the camp, Thunder God's own formidable perception immediately detected the presence of 2 powerful planetary-level entities nearby. Interesting, despite their immense surprise, both Hong and Thunder God remained outwardly composed. After all, they held absolute confidence in their own strength. Even if inexplicable 2nd or 3rd level planetary realm warrior had appeared on Earth, they were certain none could surpass them. Their real puzzlement was, when did these 2 unfamiliar planetary-level experts appear? Progress at the planetary level was notoriously slow. The fact that the highest level among other planetary warriors was only the 3rd level was proof enough. Typically, it required at least a decade of arduous cultivation just to advance 1 level within the planetary stage. Logically, once a planetary-level powerhouse emerged, or even reach the second or third level, some trace or record of their existence would inevitably surface over the years. Moreover, just how many gods of war and planetary-level warriors were there on the entire Earth? Regardless of the number, almost all had been recruited into the God of War Palace, and such information was meticulously documented. Yet Hong and Thunder God had never encountered any data on the auras of these two unfamiliar planetary-level individuals. Therefore, even if they didn't view second or third-tier planetary warriors as a threat, they couldn't help but feel deep curiosity about these two mysterious figures. Jiangnan Pavilion. Hong was very familiar with this place. It was the residence for students from Jiangnan Bay City. Through his auxiliary AI, he retrieved the information of the elite training camp's occupants and found a total of 4 individuals listed there. Shijiang Zhaoruo. While their talents were decent, they were only striving to reach the God of War level before their lifespan limits, so these two planetary-level beings must be Wei Wen and Luo Feng. Because the emergence of planetary-level presences was so sudden, Hong hadn't immediately linked the two elite trainees with planetary-level powerhouses, but the moment he laid eyes on Wei Wen and Luo Feng, realization struck instantly. A flicker of astonishment crossed Hong's face. He clearly hadn't expected the mysterious experts to be these two. When Wei Wen and Luo Feng saw the two figures appearing at Jiangnan Pavilion, they immediately recognized them as Hong and Thunder God, the two strongest beings on Earth. You two are really Wei Wen and Luo Feng. A thought occurred to Hong, and he looked over in renewed surprise. It wasn't as if Hong had never met Wei Wen and Luo Feng before. He had encountered them both prior to their entry into the elite training camp. Although their performances had been outstanding, breaking through to the second and third levels of planetary in just a few months was simply unimaginable. Naturally, Wei Wen Luo Feng, a student of the Extreme Martial Hall Elite Training Camp, pays respects to the Hall Master and Thunder God. Wei Wen and Luo Feng nodded in acknowledgement. Brother Hong, are they really Wei Wen and Luo Feng, students from our elite training camp? Thunder God wore a bewildered expression. His expression was odd. Since when had the standards of the Extreme Martial Hall's elite training camp become so exaggerated that its students were all planetary-level experts? Of course, his impression of Luo Feng might not be deep, but he was quite familiar with information about Wei Wen. After all, it was Wei Wen who had optimized the 9-stage Thunder Blade, allowing Thunder God himself to advance further in its power, now having reached the 12-fold Thunder Blade. However, that was Wei Wen's state from over 2 months ago. His current level was far beyond Thunder God's, having achieved a 19-fold Thunder Blade with 14 times amplification power. As for the amplitude of Wei Wen's spiritual power, it had far surpassed that power level. Currently, there were several light spheres within Wei Wen's Sea of Consciousness and Danshan Core. Upon reaching the third level of planetary, there would be 3 miniature planets in both his Sea of Consciousness and Danshan. By this progression, until each possessed 9 miniature planets, he would be at the 9th level of planetary. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribers, and share to Infinite Novel Audio. Regarding domains, Wei Wen hadn't made significant progress over the past few months, but he had gained 2 additional domains, water and fire. Apart from swordsmanship, he was now most adept at a peerless water technique. After his past failure in a certain path, Wei Wen had easily deduced the way of water to a dominant level, a feat that would make many despair. Thus, Wei Wen's water domain had now become a dual domain. If Hong, at the 6th level of planetary, were to engage in a domain confrontation with Wei Wen, they would likely be on par. Therefore, with the discerning eyes of Hong and Thunder God, they could see that Wei Wen's strength was definitely not as simple as a newly advanced 3rd level planetary. He even gave them a profoundly mysterious and completely unfathomable feeling. Wei Wen, Luo Feng, you are no longer at the newly advanced 1st level of planetary. When did you break through to the planetary stage? Hong was also greatly surprised, but his temperament was such that he wouldn't show it overtly. Approximately a few months ago, Wei Wen and Luo Feng replied simply. Hong and Thunder God exchanged a glance, endless shock swirling in their eyes. At 18 years old, to effortlessly reach the 2nd and 3rd levels of planetary, it seems you two are anything but ordinary, Hong said with a faint smile. Both Hong and Thunder God were aware of Wei Wen and Luo Feng's backgrounds. They came from ordinary origins and didn't appear to be individuals who had inherited any ancestral treasures. Yet these ordinary youths had suddenly displayed extraordinary talent one day, easily reaching the planetary level. Either they were truly monstrous geniuses, or they had encountered some tremendous opportunity. Hong's mind raced as he simultaneously issued orders to his auxiliary AI to reinvestigate all information on Wei Wen and Luo Feng, including every detail of their movements and routes. Due to Hong's personal command, the auxiliary AI swiftly gathered all their information with the highest efficiency and transmitted it to him. The point of greatest suspicion lies with the Australian continent. That time Wei Wen was injured, unfortunately there are no detailed records, Hong analyzed silently. Wei Wen and Luo Feng's current progression rate was so fast, abnormally so, indicating they likely gained their opportunities in Australia. However, everyone had their own secrets, some they wouldn't even share with close relatives, so Hong had no intention of forcing Wei Wen to divulge anything. Just like in the novel, when Luo Feng, at the God of War level, killed the planetary level Li Yao who wore a black god set, Hong did not force Luo Feng to explain. What concerned Hong most was not being surpassed by the younger generation. Rather, his greatest worry was that one day, Earth might be discovered by powerful cosmic civilizations and forces, which would spell disaster. At that time, whether Earth's people would be exterminated by alien adventurers or enslaved and sold, the outcome would be equally bleak. After all, fair treatment required corresponding strength. Therefore, the more astonishing Wei Wen and Luo Feng's performances were, the more pleased Hong and Thunder God felt, as if they had identified the right individuals. Because if Earth had more geniuses like Wei Wen and Luo Feng, they could afford to relax more. As the saying goes, it is lonely at the top. Hong and Thunder God had long been without rivals and had deeply felt the solitude of invincibility. This sense made everything seem mundane, a feeling they disliked. But now, witnessing the vigorous rise of Wei Wen and Luo Feng, Hong felt genuine anticipation from the bottom of his heart. In their pursuit of their own peaks, they now had formidable future competitors on the horizon. Wei Wen, Luo Feng, regardless of what opportunities you obtained, your ability to break through to the planetary level proves your potential. This is also a stroke of fortune for humanity as a whole. Hong's words were sincere, spoken from a genuine desire to see more powerful individuals emerge among humans to protect them from monsters and extraterrestrial threats. Wei Wen, Luo Feng, tell us, how did you break through to the planetary level? Unlike Hong's deeper concerns, the Thunder God wore a carefree smile as he asked. I undertook an adventure on the Australian continent earlier and chanced upon some treasures. It was by utilizing those that we managed to successfully advance to the planetary level, Wei Wen explained decisively. To break through to the planetary level was no small feat. Ordinary treasures were insufficient. Based on their knowledge of such resources, Hong and the Thunder God suddenly thought of the same thing simultaneously. The two exchanged a glance, a shared suspicion instantly forming in their minds: Muya Crystal. For any planetary-level powerhouse, Muya Crystal was immensely useful. However, Muya Crystal was not a treasure native to Earth. Could there be undiscovered ruins of an ancient civilization on the Australian continent? Yet Earth's major powers currently monitored the planet closely and had conducted thorough searches. No new ancient civilization ruins had been found. Seeing that Wei Wen and Luo Feng seemed reluctant to elaborate further, although Hong and the Thunder God were burning with curiosity, they felt it inappropriate to press the matter. After all, everyone had their own secrets, especially concerning a great opportunity like Muya Crystal. If they themselves had discovered such ruins, they would have excavated them discreetly and certainly wouldn't welcome probing questions. After a moment of silence, Hong and the Thunder God suppressed their thoughts and steered the conversation back to their original purpose for coming. Wei Wen felt a wave of relief upon seeing that Hong and the Thunder God had no intention of interrogating them further. It seemed the portrayal of their characters in the novel was accurate. Fortunately, their mindsets and principles were extraordinary. Despite feeling tempted, they restrained their desires and did not resort to coercion. If Hong and the Thunder God had truly succumbed to temptation and acted against them, Wei Wen might not have been a match, but he would have been profoundly disappointed. Wei Wen might even have wondered if there were deviations from the novel. In fact, deviations were to be expected. His very presence was bound to create a butterfly effect. Thinking of this, a realization struck Wei Wen. Luo Feng had already reached the planetary level. If he took Luo Feng to the Misty Island now, Luo Feng might be able to obtain the inheritance of the falling star ahead of schedule. Wei Wen, Luo Feng, now that you are planetary-level experts, you are qualified to learn about many matters, Hong began solemnly. He proceeded to explain to Wei Wen and Luo Feng the current predicament facing humanity and the threats from aliens in the cosmos. Wei Wen was already aware of all this, but he cooperated, feigning various expressions of shock. Perhaps because Wei Wen's acting was a bit too forced, Hong didn't elaborate further. Wei Wen, Luo Feng, you've both met Inspector Wang. You should also know that upon becoming a powerhouse surpassing the God of War level, that is, a planetary level expert, one can directly serve as an inspector of the Extreme Martial Hall HQ, Hong said after a moment's pause. The position of inspector holds high status, with authority within the Extreme Martial Hall second only to mine. I wonder if you would be willing to serve as the 6th and 7th inspectors of our Extreme Martial Hall school. No problem, Wei Wen and Luo Feng agreed after brief consideration. After all, Luo Feng had already planned to reveal his strength and marry his beloved. As for Wei Wen, the status of inspector would make certain tasks easier. Good, soon our Extreme Martial Hall will publicly announce a date. Your identities as inspectors will be revealed to the world, and I will personally confer the positions upon you, Hong continued. From then on, when the trainees in the elite training camp see you, they'll address you as Inspector Luo and Inspector Wei, the Thunder God said with a laugh. Speaking of trainees, do you two still plan to remain in the training camp? Hong asked with a slight smile. That won't be necessary, Wei Wen shook his head slightly. Their previous stay in the training camp was to avoid exposing their strength and causing complications. Now that their strength was revealed and no trouble ensued, there was naturally no need to stay. More freedom was preferable. Good, Hong nodded thoughtfully. The appointment of the 6th and 7th inspectors of our Extreme Martial Hall must be announced to the world, so we naturally need to choose a significant date. Let me think. December 12th and January 1st are both auspicious days. You can choose, preferably the same day. January 1st, Luo Feng said promptly. No problem, however, you have just reached the planetary level. You must understand that the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd stages of planetary level are merely the beginning, not the end, Hong said gravely. You must not slack off in your cultivation from now on. Understood, Wei Wen and Luo Feng nodded. They certainly understood. The so-called inspector or counselor level was merely the planetary level, a stage that barely allowed one to scrape by in the vast universe. Only upon reaching the star level could one be considered a true warrior or spiritual master, qualifying to become a formal citizen of a cosmic civilization state and barely enjoying some basic rights. On some orderly planets, such individuals wouldn't be killed arbitrarily or captured and sold as slaves. Even worse was the apprentice-level 9th stage, which held no basic human rights in the universe and could hardly be considered human. This illustrated that in the vast, boundless cosmos, the law of the jungle and hierarchical power were the naked and most universal truths. Even within the relatively united human race, internal unity was not absolute. Fortunately, before his death, Hu Yambo, the master of the falling star, used a secret method to obscure Earth's spatial coordinates in the dark universe. This was why, after Hu Yambo's demise, Earth had remained undiscovered by space adventurers for so many years, allowing it to maintain its current fragile peace. But Wei Wen also knew this state wouldn't last forever. In the near future, crises involving the golden horned beast and space adventurers would arrive. In short, the sooner Luo Feng obtained the inheritance of the falling star, the better it would be for Wei Wen's plans. However, Wei Wen also recalled that when Luo Feng first entered the Misty Island in the novel, he was detected by Babata, but wasn't immediately drawn into the falling star. This indicated Luo Feng's talent hadn't fully captured Babata's attention at that time. But if Wei Wen and Luo Feng went there now, bringing along more powerful individuals, and Babata discovered that Luo Feng was already the most promising spiritual master on Earth, Babata would surely pull Luo Feng into the falling star. After all, Babata later mentioned that the reason he chose Luo Feng after the Muya Crystal Feast was his desire to select the best candidate possible. Hall Master, Thunder God, even if I don't tell you now, you'll likely find out about the source of my opportunity sooner or later. Wei Wen's tone was calm, his gaze clear. In that case, I won't hide it. I did discover some ruins there. How about the 4 of us embark on an exploration together? Oh, the eyes of Hong and the Thunder God instantly lit up, smiles appearing on their faces. Hong had previously only known Wei Wen went to the Australian continent, not the exact location. Now, with Wei Wen's direct explanation, both he and the Thunder God were stirred with excitement. Of course, if they knew Wei Wen's invitation partly stemmed from a desire to utilize their presence, they might have mixed feelings. Regardless, this was beneficial for Hong and the Thunder God. Perhaps they too could gain early access to the falling star. At the very least, they might obtain a substantial amount of Muya crystal from a feast similar to the novel. Therefore, Wei Wen's approach was undoubtedly a win-win situation. "Thank you, Wei Wen." The Thunder God wore a grateful expression, while Hong beside him chuckled. "By the way, Hall Master, to hide my own limitations, I didn't go all out to earn the Black God suit," Luo Feng said with a puzzled look. "Now, as I'm about to graduate from the elite training camp and become an inspector, I wear it daily. But honestly, I am fully capable of obtaining one myself. Could you provide me a set? If that won't do, how about I head to the trial tower now, to see if my combat power amplitude can reach 16. In truth, considering Luo Feng's current strength, obtaining a Black God suit wouldn't be difficult. After all, if trading with Hong, a single wood essence crystal, Muya crystal, was worth 4 sets of Black God suits. Moreover, Luo Feng was already a planetary level expert and the future inspector of the Extreme Martial Hall, so Hong didn't hesitate at all. "Don't worry, I'll return to headquarters later and give you a Black God suit. Then we can prepare for our expedition to the Australian continent." Both Hong and the Thunder God were momentarily stunned by Luo Feng's words. Soon after, Hong and Thunder God left the elite training camp to prepare for their upcoming adventure. Extreme Martial Hall HQ. There should be wood essence crystals on the Australian continent. If we find any this time, our strength should improve much faster, Thunder God couldn't help but say excitedly. As for the undiscovered ruins, the benefits might be far greater than just wood essence crystals. "Well, we'll know the specifics once we get there," Hong nodded. "Brother Hong, the newly discovered ruins are bound to hold great treasures. Don't compete with me for them," the Thunder God said hastily. "Treasures?" Hong shook his head slightly. "We don't know the details yet. Let's not talk about benefits now. Of course, if you're lucky enough to find a treasure, I won't snatch it. But the treasures within such ruins naturally belong to those with the fortune to claim them. You also know, with ancient civilization ruins and the like, it's not just about strength. Luck and fate play a part too. There must be benefits this time. I refuse to believe my luck is worse than yours every single time," Thunder God said unwillingly. "Then we'll see which of us brothers has better fortune. Though I suspect Wei Wen and Luo Feng might have the best luck of all," Hong remarked thoughtfully. Inside a blood-red triangular fighter jet, Wei Wen and the other 3 sat cross-legged. "The coordinates for the ruins you mentioned should be here," Hong said, looking at Wei Wen. A 3-dimensional virtual projection in the cabin displayed the landscape of the lake below in full detail. "The coordinates are correct, but why does it feel completely different from last time?" Wei Wen stared at the displayed Fog Island, unable to hide his shock. A vast lake lay below, but now, Fog Island was devoid of mist. Even the central island in the lake had vanished, leaving only an expansive expanse of white water. No fog, no island in the lake's center. Was this the same Fog Island he had visited before? To destroy such a large island, what level of combat power would that require? Wei Wen didn't know that since his last departure from Fog Island, the mist had gradually dissipated. As for the so-called island, it had been destroyed by the Beast King and the demon Cloud Vine cultivated by Babata. At the very least, the island's surface was completely ruined, with the deeper parts now submerged. Something's off. Hong quickly activated his auxiliary AI to scan the entire Fog Island. Suddenly, his expression shifted slightly. "Wei Wen. My auxiliary AI has detected a Beast King-level monster in this lake, along with a strange life force fluctuation. It's a terrifying creature with 13 long tentacles. It's the 3rd Beast King-class entity we've discovered on Earth. Additionally, the lake itself is peculiar. It contains a large number of aquatic monsters, including many Lord-level beings. A terrifying, unknown tentacled life form. Besides the density of monster lords in these waters being far higher than in the ocean, there was also a Beast King. Logically, inland lakes like this shouldn't have the environment to nurture a Beast King. There must be treasures here, such as wood essence crystals. For a beast to grow to Beast King level, it must have consumed countless wood essence crystals. There might even be a significant stockpile left." With just a brief investigation, Hong was certain that relics of an ancient civilization were here. Furthermore, previous discoveries of ancient civilization ruins were never this exaggerated. This time, it might be earth-shattering. Hong pointed around the 3-dimensional projection of the lake. "Look, those flying saucer fighters and garrison bases. They belong to the 5 major powers, major base city factions, and some powerful legislators." "A Beast King," Wei Wen immediately frowned. Last time he approached the Falling Star spaceship, he hadn't encountered any Beast King. It seemed that after he obtained a large number of wood essence crystals from Babata previously, Babata had already taken action. However, since Babata had only recently begun cultivating the Beast King and the Demon Cloud Vine, they likely weren't extremely powerful yet. The Beast King and that strange vine are formidable. Whoever gets the treasure will depend on luck, Hong said with a grave expression. Thunder God and I aren't afraid of the Beast King. As for you, if you encounter that Beast King, don't engage it head-on. Use the flight speed advantage of your spiritual master abilities to escape quickly. This vine life form somewhat resembles the Demon Cloud Vine. I never expected such plant life to exist on our planet. According to ancient civilization relic information he had obtained before, the Demon Cloud Vine was an incredibly precious treasure, even in the vast universe, its value no less than that of a star-level powerhouse. This also hinted at the potentially immense richness of the ruins' resources. After a brief explanation, Hong opened the hatch and flew out first. Wei Wen and the others exchanged glances before following, hovering silently above Fog Island. The place where you hunted for treasure last time wasn't near the Beast King, was it? Hong looked toward the Beast King monster, now almost visible to the naked eye within the lake. That's right. Wei Wen could clearly see a massive shadow in the lake. Its size was enormous, estimated to span several thousand meters. According to my scan data, this strange beast has 13 tentacles, each about 1,500 meters long. Hong pointed at the shadow below. It also has something like a turtle shell on its head. It can likely retract all 13 tentacles into the shell in an instant. The defensive power of that shell is estimated to far exceed that of the Beast King's tentacles. What should we do? The Thunder God looked at Hong. If we don't deal with the Beast King, we can't hunt for treasure in peace. I'll test its strength first, Hong said after a moment of silence. Thunder God, your strength is considerable. Help me contain that plant life form for now. Although Demon Cloud Vine had been trained by Babata for some time, it wasn't exceptionally strong. Thunder God should be able to fight it on equal terms. As for the Beast King's data, it was indeed frightening. But data is just data. Whether we can defeat it or not depends on actually fighting it first. Hearing Hong's words, Wei Wen couldn't help but frown. He had thought this operation would be straightforward, but he hadn't expected his last action to trigger a butterfly effect again. This time, Babata had actually trained the Beast King and Demon Cloud Vine ahead of schedule. Judging from Hong's expression, the Beast King's strength was no less than in the novel. But this time, without the buff from Demon Cloud Vine, Hong might very well fail to defeat the Beast King in their first encounter, and it seemed Hong might even get injured. 12,000 meters underground. Inside the falling starship. What a pity, that guy Wei Wen left Kirishima after taking a large number of crystal remains, and hasn't come to accept the inheritance, Babata couldn't help but muse. I can only use the crystal to raise a so-called Emperor-level beast, and briefly cultivate Demon Cloud Vine, to see if it can attract some strong individuals in the future. Then I can use the wood essence crystals to have them hunt for treasures on Kirishima. At the same time, I can select the one with the widest brain domain to become the inheritor. It was just like when Babata probably got a bunch of wood essence crystals, placing some at the entrance of the spaceship and tossing dozens outside. Babata's detector suddenly sensed something, and his eyes lit up. I didn't expect this guy to come again, and he brought 3 helpers. One of them must be the person on Earth with the strongest brain domain, right? A brain domain width of 22% might be average on the falling star, but on this planet, it's 1 in 10,000. Oh well, you pick the tallest among the short. It'll be him. When the time comes, we can use him to lure that strange Wei Wen into the falling star ship. But the Beast King is a problem. Had I known, I wouldn't have cultivated the Beast King and Demon Cloud Vine. I hope Hong can work harder and kill the Beast King. In the novel, Babata also said that spiritual waves could only subconsciously influence Luo Feng. Luo Feng was busy searching underground without a clear purpose. Guided by his subconscious, he was able to gradually move in the right direction. But if he guided Luo Feng by saying, for instance, telling Luo Feng to commit suicide, Luo Feng would of course wake up instantly. How could he possibly agree? Therefore, Babata cannot kill the Beast King and Demon Cloud Vine that he cultivated through mind waves. You two should stay away from the lake now, as it's easy to get caught up in the battle above it, Hong said, looking at Wei Wen and Luo Feng. Whether it's me, Thunder God, the Beast King, or Demon Cloud Vine, Any random strike might be more than an ordinary planetary-level warrior can handle. Don't be careless. As soon as Hong finished speaking, he glanced at Thunder God. Their long-term sparring meant a single look was enough to roughly determine their next course of action. Hong and Thunder God flew side by side to the center of the lake, and then dove rapidly into the water. After Hong comprehended his domain, he was indeed invincible among planetary-level warriors on land, but the Beast Emperor was as at home in the water as a fish. Trying to catch a 10-kilogram fish with bare hands, even a normal adult would struggle for half an hour without success. Moreover, underwater, every human movement is hindered by water resistance. The faster the speed, the greater the drag. Of course, the most powerful presence under the lake was the Beast King. The Beast King was the biggest obstacle to obtaining the treasure. How could they get it without killing the Beast King? Hong and Thunder God ventured deep underwater, and soon engaged the Beast King and Demon Cloud Vine in battle. The lake's surface began to tremble. The shadow of the Beast King, which had been squatting motionless, suddenly erupted as if gone mad, its tentacles whipping about wildly. One of them was nearly 20 meters in diameter, and the length emerging from the water exceeded 1,000 meters. The tentacles swept out, instantly covering a radius of several thousand meters. Boom! The air exploded and the lake's surface churned with turbulent waves. Numerous Lord-level beasts were sent flying into the air, instantly either pulverized or maimed. With just a casual strike, a Beast King could cause earth-shattering waves. Luo Feng watched in shock as the area hundreds of miles below trembled slightly from the Beast King's, the tentacled beasts, frantic counterattack. It cut off one of my tentacles so quickly. It seems this Beast King isn't as strong as those two old guys, Hong revealed a smile. But Hong's smile soon vanished, because all of the Beast King's tentacles had retracted into its turtle-like shell. Hong brandished the spear that had just severed the Beast King's tentacle and attempted to strike the shell. It didn't break at all, not even leaving a mark. From this alone, unless he ventured deep into the shell to fight the Beast King to the death, killing it would be impossible. Hong gritted his teeth and dove into the shell. But he soon retreated from it, swiftly flew into the sky, and entered his Hong-level smart fighter. He took out a pre-prepared bottle of life water and drank it to recover from his injuries. The first battle between Hong and the Beast King ended abruptly. Seeing Hong withdraw from the fight, Thunder God no longer restrained Demon Cloud Vine. "Brother Hong, can you kill this Beast King?" Thunder God asked solemnly, looking at the recovering Hong. "This Beast King is completely huddled in its shell. I thought it would be easier to kill since it's hard for it to move, but I didn't expect this. It's not that simple," Hong frowned, gazing at the lake below. "If it's hard to kill, what should we do?" Thunder God frowned as well. "Ignore the Beast King and Demon Cloud Vine to hunt for treasures and explore the ruins." That was clearly unrealistic. After all, you can't let a potential threat sleep soundly beside you. Your bound friend, Jai Enning, has comprehended the harmony of water and fire. Your understanding of the fundamental laws of water and fire continues to deepen. You have reached the third level of the water and fire domain. The crimson bright diagram of 9 heavens practiced by Jai Enning in the Desolate Era. Breaking through to the Xiantian stage involved drawing power from 2 supreme stars to automatically generate 2 major divine patterns. After breaking through to the Xiantian void stage, the 2 supreme stars also showered down the true fire of the sun and the true water of the supreme yin. Water and fire worked together to give birth to the divine body of an innate god-fiend. Such a god-fiend body was no less than those of true god-fiend at their birth during the god-demon era. Therefore, this method could be called the premier technique. And due to the synergy of water and fire, the combined power of the third level in the water and fire domain was no less than that of the fourth level in an ordinary domain. Note, because the avatar in the desolate world are projection avatar, hard attributes like Kai refining and body refining realms cannot be fed back to the main body. This is also to prevent inexplicable breakthroughs. "How about I give it a try?" Wei Wen asked, looking at the silent Hong and Thunder God. Hong and Thunder God glanced at Wei Wen and shook their heads slightly. In their view, Wei Wen was only at planetary level 3. Even if his energy was stronger than theirs, he couldn't possibly be a match for the Beast King. Fallen Star spaceship. "What now?" Babata frowned as he observed Hong struggling to finish off the Beast King. At this moment, Babata was utterly bewildered. First came surprise and excitement, swiftly followed by a tinge of distress. A star-level spiritual master is a genius. For a planetary-level warrior like Hong to possess a domain made him a super genius, fully qualified to join the ranks of the fallen star disciples. Of course, as a pure warrior, Hong could not inherit the core legacy of the fallen star. Fortunately, the master's immortal attendants weren't solely spiritual masters, there were warriors among them as well. The warrior heritage isn't lacking, though it's not the pinnacle either. Furthermore, apart from Wei Wen, the humans on this planet are all rather peculiar. Their brain development capacity seems quite low. Take Hong, for instance, his capacity is considered mediocre in the wider universe. Yet, someone with such a capacity has comprehended a domain. Then there's Wei Wen. His brain capacity isn't high either, but his behavior is even stranger than Hong's. He actually intends to fight the Beast King head-on. Judging by his demeanor, he seems supremely confident. I can only say monsters keep emerging from Earth. Perhaps this planet isn't as simple as the Master initially presumed. Regardless, in tens of thousands of years, I've only encountered geniuses like these. I must recruit them all. After all, for the fallen star to restore its former glory, a single inheritor is insufficient. These monsters absolutely cannot be let go. There might not be a complete set of warrior inheritance, but that wasn't a critical issue. The immortal attendant Hu Yambo had left behind numerous warrior cultivation manuals. Babata only needed to nurture them for a period, then construct a starship to enter the universe. With the foundation of the fallen star legacy, obtaining some powerful warrior techniques wouldn't be difficult. Babata's eyes widened and he drew a sharp breath. The third stage of domain comprehension, and two different domains at that. Earlier, he thought the disconnect between Earthling's brain capacity and comprehension was odd. Now, Wei Wen had proven it once more. He had only cultivated for a few months. With an exceptionally poor brain capacity, he had directly comprehended not one, but two domains, both reaching the third stage. This was simply unbelievable. Wei Wen was only at the third level of the planet level. Like Mohammed and Atkin, who were also at the planet level's third stage, they should have been utterly powerless against a Beast King level monster. How confident are you? Although skeptical of Wei Wen's strength, Hong and Thunder God still held a sliver of hope. After all, Wei Wen had already created one miracle. Perhaps he truly had been concealing a significant portion of his power. 98%. Wei Wen fell silent for a moment, leaving the final words unspoken. With a single thought, Wei Wen's genetic energy, mental power, will, spirit, body, and even his consciousness merged into one, instantly erupting with a force far beyond anything they had witnessed before. Seeing Wei Wen's transformation, Hong and Thunder God were stunned. While Wei Wen didn't manifest a luminous field like Hong's, the intensity of his presence was comparable. If their guess was correct, this was indeed a domain that transcended mere artistic conception. What is going on? Thunder God and Hong had sparred for half a lifetime. It took him decades, and Hong's guidance, to comprehend a domain before the golden-horned beast crisis. But Wei Wen seemed to have had no mentor. He had directly comprehended different domains, and his power currently surpassed even Hong's. The power within Wei Wen's body erupted, instantly permeating everything around him. Force existed everywhere. Two different domains intertwined like a pair of Tai-Kai fish, chasing one another. The surrounding heaven and earth seemed to spontaneously condense into a colossal flame, while also forming vast, surging waves of water. Everything within a 100-meter radius was enveloped in this duality of water and fire. Wei Wen stood like a deity within this domain. He pierced through the water and shot toward the lake bed. This description seems lengthy, but in reality, Wei Wen activated the power within his body to form the domain in an instant. Luo Feng and the others witnessed with their own eyes the endless water and boundless flames materialize from thin air, a sight that struck fear into their hearts. Where the water passed, everything froze into ice sculptures. Where the fire swept, everything shattered and burned. With a mere thought, Wei Wen casually pointed toward the tentacle Beast King. Boom! Boom! A fragment of red mixed copper mother transformed into a streak of light. Around it, a massive fire dragon and a colossal water dragon materialized out of thin air, containing terrifying destructive power as they charged directly toward the distant Beast King. The Beast King, which had been hiding in its turtle shell with near impunity against Hong's attacks, suddenly froze upon witnessing Wei Wen's explosive assault. The indescribably terrifying force instantly pierced through the turtle shell, shocking the Beast King's body. The turtle shell could not withstand the red copper mother fragment. No matter how tough the Beast King's scales were, they were powerless against the red copper mother's might. All its internal organs, flesh, and blood were frenziedly shredded into mincemeat. Luo Feng and the others gazed at the distant lake. The already turbulent waters suddenly exploded. They saw tentacles erupting as if to pierce the heavens. 7 or 8 tentacles burst from the water in an instant, dancing and thrashing wildly. No pattern, just a frenetic, pained explosion, a final death struggle. Raw, a piercing, sorrowful cry erupted from the depths, causing the entire earth to tremble slightly. Instantly, blood dyed the lake crimson. So ear-piercing. Luo Feng and the others couldn't help but cover their ears, expressions grave. Soon, the tentacles, once brimming with endless power, hung motionless in the void before falling limply back into the lake. 2 of the tentacles even landed in the shallow waters. Their immense weight struck the lake's surface, instantly carving out 2 massive trenches that were swiftly refilled by the surrounding water. It's dead. The Beast King was killed by Wei Wen. Surrounded by the lake and hovering midair, the trio watched in strongest among humans on Earth. What shocked them most was Wei Wen's ability to effortlessly shatter the Beast King's turtle shell. They had no idea how he had accomplished it. The moment Luo Feng laid eyes on the massive, over 3,000-meter-long corpse of the Beast King, he felt as if his heart had stopped and his blood had frozen. So powerful. He shook his head slightly, his gaze lifting to Wei Wen, clad in his black god suit, hovering high in the sky. Wei Wen was just 1 level above him, yet his performance was nothing short of incredible. His combat power was utterly exaggerated. According to what Hong and Thunder God said before, comprehending a domain is considered planetary-level invincibility, but I never imagined Wei Wen could kill an aquatic Beast King, Luo Feng thought, deeply shaken. Hong was considered the pinnacle of invincibility on Earth at the planetary level, but that title only meant he was practically undefeated among peers of the same level. It didn't mean he could kill any opponent. After all, in terms of realm and physical strength, the Beast Emperor far surpassed Hong, who was only at the 6th level of the planetary realm. Moreover, the battle took place in the water, the Beast King's optimal environment, so Hong's inability to kill it was perfectly normal. If it weren't for Hong possessing a domain, any other 6th-level planetary-level warrior who came would likely have been slain outright. Yet Wei Wen, at merely the 3rd level of the planetary realm, had killed the Beast King. A domain, one day I too will comprehend one and kill a Beast King with my own hands. Looking at the distant, godlike figure of Wei Wen, an endless desire surged within Luo Feng's heart. Why is everyone staring at me like that? Wei Wen felt a bit awkward under their collective gaze. It's nothing, the trio suppressed their inner shock, striving to sound calm and natural, yet the tremor in their voices was unmistakable. Wei Wen, you've killed the lake's Beast King, but there are still 2 in the ocean. Can you deal with them as well? Thunder God asked urgently. If we can eliminate them all, our future will be much smoother. It's not impossible to try, but it's a different matter. Killing those 2 Beast Kings now would still be quite difficult, Wei Wen replied with a slight shake of his head. This lake's greatest depth was only 300 meters. Although vast, it was troublesome for a 3,000-meter-long Beast King to maneuver within it. Thus, the lake's depth clearly limited the Beast King's capabilities. Coupled with the fact that it had only recently advanced to the Beast Emperor level, and its physical efficiency was relatively low, Wei Wen could dispatch it with relative ease. The 2 Beast Kings in the ocean, however, had reached the king level during the Great Nirvana period, and had gradually grown into true Beast Emperors since then. No rush, Wei Wen's growth rate is far faster than those 2. It's only a matter of time before he kills them, Hong said, a smile finally appearing on his face. On the number 9 ancient civilization relic, Fallen Star spaceship. The 3rd stage of water and fire, and even signs of merging the 2, Babata stared dumbfounded at the images on the screen. With Wei Wen's talent, if he appeared on any civilized planet that has made contact with the wider universe, any powerful being who discovered his aptitude would likely send immortal-level experts to recruit him as a disciple. And not just any immortals, the superpowered ones, stronger even than my master. But he was actually born on a backward indigenous planet like Earth, which means there's no inheritance here superior to that of the fallen star. It's just that this guy is a bit too cautious. The difficulty of fusing laws far exceeds that of comprehending a single law, but the resulting power is also immensely greater. Without even watching the battle's conclusion, Babata already knew the Beast King's fate. As expected, Wei Wen, at the planetary level 3rd level, faced no difficulty slaughtering the Beast King with the power of the red copper mother fragments. Indeed, the Wei Wen on the screen simply manipulated the red copper mother fragments, and the Beast King seemed to be thrown into a meat grinder, utterly shredded. As for the demon Cloud Vine, it was so terrified it didn't dare linger for a second. Babata fell silent for a moment, then decided to release a wood essence crystal to attract the 4 of them on a treasure hunt. The scent of rice, could it be? Suddenly, Luo Feng seemed to sense something and froze mid-turn. He saw a white crystal, emanating a soft glow, quietly appearing on the water's surface hundreds of meters away. A wood essence crystal. Did the battle between Wei Wen and the Beast King shake it loose from the soil? Seeing the stage of mud still clinging to the crystal's surface, Hong and Thunder God also came to the same realization. The environment of this lake was clearly incapable of nurturing a Beast King. Its presence here had always been puzzling, but the existence of a wood essence crystal made sense. This confirmed their earlier speculations. Good, with the Beast King threat gone, let's start searching separately. It depends on who has the better luck, Wei Wen said, looking at Luo Feng and the others. The surface of Lake Kirishima spanned over 100 miles in radius, vast by any measure, and the Beast King had been entrenched in the underground areas for about 3,500 years. Treasures like the wood essence crystals might still be buried in the mud, soil, and rock stages at the lake bottom. The search area was enormous. Wei Wen's suggestion to split up was met with agreement from Luo Feng and the others. Immediately, Luo Feng and the other 2 transformed into 3 streaks of light, speeding toward 3 different directions across the lake. This time, the 3 of them were solely responsible for excavating the wood essence crystal bounty. Splash! With a sound, Luo Feng dove into the lake like a shooting star. Clad in SS-grade armor over his black god suit, he was armed to the teeth. But how to find them? Luo Feng felt a headache coming on. He didn't even know how many crystals there were, he could only search blindly. Fortunately, I'm a spiritual master. My spiritual power can spread out within a 200-meter radius. Begin the scan. His thought power swept through the surroundings, and its scanning effect was far superior to any of Earth's high-tech radars. From the moment Luo Feng discovered the first crystal, he entered a state of exhilaration. Each wood essence crystal represented a potential planetary-level powerhouse. But on this Kirishima island, within just half an hour, he had found 10 crystals. This suggested the total number might far exceed his initial imagination. He had previously thought finding even one such treasure in a day would be a blessing. It seemed he had grossly underestimated. Half an hour later. Wei Wen, I never expected to find 10 crystals so quickly this time. Luo Feng contacted Wei Wen via his communicator. Oh, it seems bringing you along was the right decision. It took me quite a while just to find one, Wei Wen replied, shaking his head slightly. He hadn't actually found fewer crystals. He hadn't been searching for them at all. But Babata had still placed a wood essence crystal directly in his path, seemingly to lure him toward the site of the previous number 9 ancient civilization relic. Only one, Luo Feng found it strange but didn't dwell on it. After all, he knew Wei Wen already possessed many crystals. The number he had given Luo Feng before exceeded 10. Sensing Luo Feng continuously burrowing deeper underground, Wei Wen knew his subconscious might have been influenced by the telepathic waves emanating from the fallen star relic. Now that Babata had begun guiding Luo Feng, it confirmed that Luo Feng would become the inheritor of the fallen star legacy. Once Luo Feng completed the inheritance, Wei Wen would be able to gain relevant insights in return. However, judging by how Babata was still attempting to guide his spiritual power, it was clear Wei Wen's talent had caught his attention. Even after encountering Luo Feng, who possessed the largest brain domain in the world, Babata showed no sign of giving up on Wei Wen. Of course, in Babata's view, if Wei Wen was considered defiant, then Luo Feng was perhaps even more so. Therefore, Babata wasn't overly troubled by the choice between Wei Wen and Luo Feng. Either one would do. Wei Wen remained unaffected, while Luo Feng, guided by the spiritual power emanating from the fallen star, continued forward freely, approaching the spaceship. Your bound friend, Luo Feng, has obtained the inheritance of the fallen star. Congratulations on receiving feedback. inheritance plus intelligent lifeform Babata. First, regarding this feedback inheritance, it was not only a spiritual master's inheritance, but also included a warrior's inheritance comparable to it. In terms of level, it was even superior to the standard inheritance. Furthermore, inheritors like Wei Wen and Luo Feng were different. In a sense, Wei Wen had completely mastered this inheritance and could be called its true master. As for the inherited resources, there were many. What pleased Wei Wen most were the space ring, the cloud contact vine, the wood crystal, and a series of other treasures. Of course, these resources couldn't be taken out casually. If discovered by outsiders, such as the founder of the Giant Axe Dojo, unforeseen trouble could arise. So, joining the Fallen Star faction provided a reasonable explanation. Master, if you try to abandon me, I'll sound the alarm. A consciousness message arrived. Wei Wen was taken aback. What was going on? Wei Wen suddenly recalled that this feedback seemed to include not just the inheritance, but also an intelligent life named Babata. Don't cause trouble. If we don't join the Fallen Star faction, some things would be very hard to explain. Wei Wen shook his head slightly. Besides, such words could easily be misunderstood. Master, you're not angry, are you? How stingy. Master is so easy to tease. Babata's consciousness chimed in again. 15,000 meters underground, within the Fallen Star on Kaira Island. The Milky Way, where Earth is located, along with several other galaxies, belongs to the elementary civilization known as the Silver Blue Empire, Babata explained concisely. Above the Silver Blue Empire is the Black Dragon Mountain Empire, which controls over 8,000 galaxies, and possesses immortal-level powerhouses. The Ganwu Universe country has over 1 billion galaxies under its jurisdiction, and there are still many advanced human civilizations, like the Ganwu Universe country in the universe. And this is only human territory. Although humanity is a pinnacle race, it is merely one among many, not the sole one. In short, the universe is vast beyond measure. Luo Feng looked bewildered at the Babata before him, clearly shaken by these revelations. He hadn't expected that planetary level was just the beginning, followed by star level, universe level, domain lord level, world lord level, and finally, immortality beyond the world lord level. The Fallen Star inheritance before him was an immortal level inheritance, and the lineage's leader, Hu Yanbo, was considered a powerhouse even among immortals. All of this delivered a tremendous shock to Luo Feng. It was at this moment Luo Feng vaguely understood that the universe Hong had once spoken of was far more immense than even Hong's knowledge encompassed. With the Fallen Star inheritance, my future growth is assured. Luo Feng's expression turned excited. Secretly, Babata was extremely tense. He was frantically murmuring to himself, "Go on, draw Wei Wen and the others into our Fallen Star faction." Wei Wen and the others' behavior was rather peculiar, and it was obvious Babata had no intention of giving up on them. By the way, Babata, what about Wei Wen and the other planetary levels outside? Can they also join the Fallen Star faction? In Luo Feng's view, if Wei Wen hadn't brought them to Kaira Island, he would never have obtained the Fallen Star inheritance, let alone the fact that Wei Wen had given him treasures like the spiritual plants and the wood essence crystal to enhance his strength from the very beginning. No problem, since you are now the inheritor, you can definitely bring others into the Fallen Star faction, Babata replied with a calm smile. He truly didn't want to see prodigies like Wei Wen and Hong miss out on the Fallen Star lineage, especially Wei Wen. A genius like Wei Wen, capable of initially fusing insights from two different universe origin laws at the planetary level, would rank among the top 100 geniuses even in the Ganwu Universe country. If he participated in the genius battle, he would undoubtedly secure an excellent ranking. As for Hong and Thunder God, their comprehension wasn't bad either. With proper training, qualifying in the genius battle wouldn't be a problem. Geniuses of this caliber, if not for Earth being a remote indigenous planet, would be utterly beyond the reach of the Fallen Star inheritance. Given this chance, one couldn't be overly picky. Just as Babata finished his brief explanation to Luo Feng, Wei Wen, sensing the time was right, also followed the guidance of Babata's telepathic waves and arrived at the Fallen Star. And right after Wei Wen, Hong and Thunder God arrived one after another. Wei Wen is finally here. Babata was so excited he almost jumped up, but mindful that Luo Feng was the official inheritor, he suppressed his enthusiasm. The great demon Babata must not appear overly excited over mere natives of a backwater planet. Luo Feng, your companions are here too. Wei Wen, Hong, and Thunder God, right? Babata maintained a composed demeanor. Since you wish for them to join the Fallen Star faction, you can extend the invitation yourself, but I believe you know what should and shouldn't be said. Oh, I understand, Luo Feng was no fool. Wei Wen, Hong, and Thunder God observed the sealed spaceship outside. Suddenly, a portal opened, and Luo Feng stepped out, immediately surprising the trio. This is a special relic, the Fallen Star. It contains a powerful inheritance. The wood essence crystals outside are placed by the inheritance's guardian, Babata. Luo Feng gave a concise explanation. After hearing Babata's supplementary details, Hong and Thunder God gained a clearer understanding. This was actually an immortal's inheritance. It's an inheritance for an immortal-level spiritual master. A pity we are warriors, Hong and Thunder God sighed. Congratulations, Luo Feng, on obtaining this supreme inheritance. It suits you perfectly as a spiritual master. Actually, you can join the Fallen Star faction even if you're not a spiritual master. After all, Teacher Hu Yanbo has several immortal-level warriors under him as well, Luo Feng said with a smile. This is more than sufficient for us, who haven't even left our home planet yet. All right. Wei Wen didn't hesitate, and immediately agreed to join the Fallen Star faction. Let's enter the Fallen Star then. Luo Feng turned and led Wei Wen inside. Within the Fallen Star, Babata reappeared in his commentator role, recounting to Wei Wen and the others the greatness and immortal status of the Fallen Star's master, Hu Yanbo. But truth be told, the immortal Wei Wen, forged in Luo Feng's original future, might surpass Hu Yanbo in every aspect. Of course, for the four individuals who had not yet fully grown, the Fallen Star inheritance was already an exceptionally peerless opportunity. This also served to highlight, from another angle, just how valuable the inheritance Wei Wen obtained through the feedback system truly was. As spiritual masters, Luo Feng and Wei Wen are eligible to receive the master's core inheritance, Babata said with a smile. As for you two, being warriors, you can become registered disciples under our master's name. Later, I will provide you with some cultivation techniques from the master's warrior lineage servants. You can study and practice them on your own. Actually, I'd like to receive the warrior inheritance as well, Wei Wen stated after a brief silence. It wasn't that Wei Wen intended to abandon the spiritual master path, but even the legendary city Lord Luo had shifted his focus to the warrior route in his later stages. Furthermore, the inheritance Wei Wen envisioned was not solely for spiritual masters, it included the warrior's path as well. Babata offering him the warrior inheritance only made this intention clearer. That's acceptable, however my knowledge of warrior cultivation is limited, so I cannot offer you much guidance, Babata replied after a moment of thought. Babata had already observed that Wei Wen's aptitude leaned more toward the warrior path, so he saw no need to force him into becoming a spiritual master. Here is a space ring, and this is a smart wristband capable of hosting an intelligent life form, Babata continued, retrieving several items from Hu Yanbo's world ring. I have stored the cultivation techniques for both spiritual masters and warriors in the smart wristband. You can learn them according to your needs. Additionally, the communication watches you three currently possess are junk. They contain backdoors for tracking. Discard them immediately. The space ring also contains resources, such as wood essence crystals, sufficient to support your cultivation up to the peak of the planetary level. I also have several juvenile cloudvine seeds here. In time, you can use them for defense and offense. They make excellent training partners as well. Items like space rings, smart wristbands, and cloudvine seeds might be rare treasures for planetary and stellar level practitioners, but to an immortal being, they were commonplace. Babata had even casually discarded a cloudvine outside long ago. Of course, the resources Babata had invested in cultivating Luo Feng's first cloudvine were likely exclusive to the core inheritor. For Wei Wen, simply possessing a cloudvine was enough. The resources needed to cultivate it were probably included as part of the general inheritance feedback. If you want to cultivate the cloudvine you obtained earlier to the 9th level of planetary, these wood essence crystals should barely suffice. However, I can do nothing about the resources required for the cloudvine to grow to the star level. That's enough, as long as it can reach the 9th level of planetary, that's sufficient for me, Hong and Thunder God suddenly showed a hint of joy. For Wei Wen, with these resources, he could legitimately cultivate the cloud vine and manifest the intelligent life form, Babata. Of course, to legitimately utilize other resources, he would need to step into the wider universe. But how to set foot in the cosmos? Wei Wen fell silent for a moment, then suddenly remembered something. If his memory served him right, there was an intact flying spaceship in ruin number 12, and obtaining it shouldn't be too difficult. As long as he handled the self-destruct mechanism carefully, he could acquire an undamaged spaceship and venture into the universe far earlier than in the novel. By then, forget the golden-horned beast or space adventurers. Even if the battle-hardened giant axe warrior, Nuo Lanshan, came in person, Wei Wen was confident he could defeat him. Babata, you described the universe as wondrous. How should we go about setting foot in it? Wei Wen raised the topic. At the very least, we need a spaceship. With my capabilities, building one is possible, but it would take considerable time, Babata replied, shaking his head slightly. In my view, isn't this inheritance site itself a spaceship? Can't it fly? Wei Wen pressed. No, leaving aside whether this Class F spaceship has any energy, it is damaged and cannot fly. Babata shook his head again. The main issue is that some internal power systems were severely damaged, and the self-repair mechanisms cannot fully restore them. Moreover, to repair a spaceship of the fallen star caliber, no one in the entire Silver Blue Empire possesses the capability. Perhaps the Black Dragon Mountain Empire does, but with your current strength, taking the fallen star spaceship there would be suicidal. You must understand the principle. A man's wealth is his own ruin by causing others envy. Powerful beings would likely kill you outright to seize such a treasure. Hong, Thunder God, you two are familiar with Earth's ancient ruins. Do you know of any locations that might have spaceships? Wei Wen continued guiding the conversation. Hong and Thunder God also yearned for the cosmos, so they were highly interested in the topic of spaceships. Ancient civilization ruins. Right, ruin number 12 clearly looks like a spaceship docking port. Hong's eyes suddenly lit up as he recalled ruin number 12. And there's a spaceship inside that appears to be intact. Babata briefly accessed the relevant data and suddenly grew excited. Luo Feng, as a virtual entity, I need a physical medium to leave with you. Babata flipped his hand, revealing a black wristband similar to the earlier smart watch. This wristband is also a common smart device in the universe and isn't particularly valuable, Babata explained simply. But it contains a crystal core that can serve as a temporary residence for my intelligent life form. Luo Feng nodded. Since becoming the inheritor of the fallen star, Babata was, in a sense, his teacher, entrusted by Hu Yambo to guide him. Luo Feng immediately put on the wristband. The black-clad child, Babata, grinned at Luo Feng, then his form burst and vanished like a soap bubble. Following Babata's instructions, Luo Feng simply performed owner identification on the smart wristband. Whoosh! The four of them, still standing where the spaceship had been, suddenly felt a tremor. Boom! The massive fallen star spaceship vanished, stored away by Babata into Hu Yambo's world ring. A vast cavity instantly formed around them, causing numerous rocks to tumble down. However, with their strength, they easily repelled the debris with their black god suits, preventing any from getting close. Luo Feng, a clear, childlike voice, sounded directly in Luo Feng's mind. Ah, Luo Feng was startled. What's so surprising? A truly intelligent life form can communicate directly with its owner through consciousness. Babata's voice carried a note of pride. As for the consciousness sensor helmet you use to enter the virtual network, that garbage, I possess all its functions and am tens of millions of times more powerful. If you wish to enter the virtual network, you don't need a helmet at all. That's the most primitive method. Any powerful figure of significant status in the universe integrates auxiliary optical brains, consciousness sensors, life stewards, and numerous other systems into one. With a single thought, Luo Feng instantly entered the virtual space. There he found Babata sitting on a throne within a virtual palace, grinning at him and revealing two cute little fangs. Perhaps Babata desired to step into the cosmos more fervently than Wei Wen and the others. Because once they set foot in the universe, he could access the virtual universe. For an intelligent life form like him, the allure of the virtual universe was boundless. All right, enough reminiscing. It's time for us to depart, Babata's voice echoed in their consciousness. Ancient Civilization Ruin Number 12 is likely located in the Hawaiian Islands of the Pacific Ocean, not too far from our current position. Taking Hong's primordial class intelligent fighter as an example, we should reach our destination in about an hour. Without a moment's hesitation, Wei Wen and the others transformed into streaks of light, boarding the primordial class intelligent fighter and swiftly speeding toward the Hawaiian Islands in the Pacific. The blue seawater rippled gently. 4 streaks of light shot directly into the water's surface and continued their rapid descent. As planetary-level powerhouses, they no longer needed to breathe. As for the immense water pressure, it was negligible for experts who could easily withstand gravitational forces over 1,000 times that of Earth's. Being a highly advanced intelligent life form, Babata excelled at detection. Ancient Civilization Ruin Number 12 is approximately 3,000 meters directly below you. Now swim to the left and descend further, Babata guided. While diving deeper, Wei Wen and the others also sensed the presence of numerous sea monsters. HMPH. Wei Wen's domain erupted, manifesting as streams of cascading light. Every sea monster within a 100-meter radius was instantly annihilated, their blood immediately staining the surrounding waters red. It was a casual slaughter. After all, Wei Wen could vividly recall the first-level beast tide that had assaulted the coastline in the novel. Once countless sea monsters surged inland along rivers, they would attack various base cities in a terrifying onslaught, leading to an incalculable loss of human life. Although Wei Wen was no saint, he would not stand idly by when he could easily prevent such a tragedy. With Babata's navigation, even though the deep sea enveloped them in pitch darkness, they accurately located Ruin Number 12. A wrecked warship, Wei Wen's mental force rapidly spread out, quickly forming a rough model in his mind. No need to observe closely. This is indeed a massive battleship, but it's utterly shattered, Babata remarked, shaking his head slightly. Ruin Number 12 is inside this battleship wreckage. About 2 minutes later, Wei Wen and the others stood within Ruin Number 12. Before them lay a flying saucer-shaped spaceship, roughly 100 meters in diameter. On the hull of the black spaceship was imprinted a twin-winged dragon emblem, allowing Babata to instantly identify the spaceship's model. Tusk, a Black Dragon Mountain Empire X-81 model spaceship, its C-class fully capable of interstellar travel. What incredible luck! Babata gazed at the spaceship before him with palpable excitement. The X-81 model was a well-known spaceship for cosmic exploration within the Black Dragon Mountain Empire. Babata hadn't expected that a fleet casually destroyed by Huyambo would possess such a vessel. Whoever owned this could be considered a major figure within the Black Dragon Mountain Empire. What excited Babata most was that this spaceship's performance was likely impeccable. It would be best if the spaceship is fully functional, but such a precious vessel wouldn't have some kind of self-destruct program, would it? Wei Wen prompted. After all, even some valuable items on Earth, like high-end safes, come with self-destruct mechanisms. Wei Wen recalled that in the original story, the entire Black Dragon Mountain spaceship was nearly scrapped due to such a program. In the end, Babata had been forced to brutally dismantle the self-destruct protocol, resulting in severe damage to the spaceship's control system and the burnout of multiple energy systems. Repairs for that level of damage had taken several years. If they could neutralize the self-destruct program in advance, they could save years of time. That's highly possible. It seems I need to prepare ahead of time. Babata's expression gradually turned serious. If there is a self-destruct program and the spaceship is destroyed, who knows how long it would take to find another suitable one. But with my capabilities, given proper preparation, any so-called self-destruct program is laughably fragile. Furthermore, I am intimately familiar with the internal structure of this Black Dragon Mountain model spaceship. Gaining entry will be trivial for me. Once I dismantle the self-destruct program, with my skills, taking control of this C-Class Black Dragon Mountain X-81 will be straightforward. Let me first explain how to enter the spaceship and the actions to take once inside. An hour later. Now, all you need to do is reach the command room and insert this special signaler into the spaceship's intelligent system interface. I'll handle the rest. With Babata's meticulous preparation, Wei Wen and the others easily reached the spaceship's core control room. Although they encountered intercepting robots along the way, dealing with such automatons was hardly challenging for beings like Wei Wen and Hong. After all, even Luo Feng, at the 4th level of planetary stage, had handled similar robots with ease. After disabling the robots, Luo Feng swiftly inserted Babata's signal transmitter into the spaceship's operational port as instructed. Accompanied by the thought projection of Babata's three-dimensional form, a unique stream of data invaded the spaceship's control system. Abnormal data detected. Please enter the password within 30 seconds or self-destruction will be initiated. The prompt from the intelligent self-destruct program sounded. You lose, old program. Before the intelligent system's beep could finish, under Babata's manipulation, the self-destruct program instantly fell silent. Babata could be considered the highest level of intelligence, an intelligent life form. Handling an ordinary intelligent self-destruct program was child's play for him. Thanks to Wei Wen's early warning, their infiltration of the spaceship was flawless this time. The spaceship suffered no damage whatsoever from the self-destruct protocol. After neutralizing the self-destruct program, Babata conducted a brief performance check and confirmed the spaceship was fully capable of immediate space navigation. At that moment, Luo Feng, Hong, and Thunder God turned to look at Wei Wen, still somewhat dazed. They felt that today's experience was like a fantastical daydream, material straight for a novel. And the starting point of it all was the man before them, Wei Wen. Fortunately, Wei Wen reminded us. Otherwise, the Black Dragon Mountain spaceship would have been damaged by the self-destruct program, Babata said, looking at Wei Wen with appreciation for his foresight. Wei Wen also let out a sigh of relief. As long as they could set foot in the universe even once, he could easily justify any future inheritance he might claim. He could simply say he had inexplicably received a legacy, something others would have no way of verifying. Your bound friend, Luo Feng, has obtained a C5 level spaceship. Congratulations on receiving feedback for a C9 level spaceship. Master formulated the solution so quickly, Wei Wen AI's voice chimed in aptly. It wasn't that difficult, Wei Wen's mouth twitched slightly. I obtained a C9 class spaceship, better than nothing. If I'm ever short on funds, I can always sell it. After all, a Black Dragon Mountain Empire spaceship is worth around 100 billion, and this one is certainly worth even more. Are we truly ready to step into the universe now? Despite having successfully secured the spaceship, Hong still lacked confidence. No matter how strong they were, they remained merely planetary-level warriors. In the vastness of the cosmos, planetary-level beings barely scrape by. Was it not too risky to venture out now? Don't worry, with my understanding of the universe, there will be no accidents while I guide your exploration, reassured Babata. As for strength, do you recall the liquid silver guards on the spaceship? Due to their liquid silver composition, even a strike from a universe-level powerhouse can be absorbed and dissipated by their bodies. While their offensive power isn't overwhelming, if they entangle an opponent, even a universe-level expert would need considerable time to break free. A man is judged by his attire, a horse by its saddle. The value of these silver guards is significant. They are definite luxury items for planetary-level individuals and can serve as symbols of status. Once you establish your identities as I've instructed, there should be no issues. At least within a minor power like the Silver Blue Empire, your safety won't be a concern. Then let's proceed. After exchanging glances, Wei Wen and the other three nodded in agreement. Of course, there are other preparations. The universal language is also a mark of status. Otherwise, the background I've crafted for you will be pointless, Babata continued. During our journey, given the speed of our thought processes, mastering the universal language will be straightforward. With the technological level of the C5 class Black Dragon Mountain spaceship, it could completely evade detection by Earth's satellites and other equipment. Even a face-to-face encounter would go unnoticed. The spaceship is about to accelerate to light speed and enter the dark universe. You may experience some discomfort, Babata's voice announced. Boom! The spaceship began to vibrate slightly. After a brief period of shaking, it entered the dark universe. The so-called dark universe differs from the original universe in certain aspects. For instance, traveling 1 light-year within the dark universe translates to a distance of 1.0081 billion light-years upon returning to the original universe, effectively achieving a speed exceeding 1 million times light speed. Navigating across space at such velocities is no simple feat. This time, our destination is the Horned Dragon planet. The voyage will take approximately 10 days, Babata informed them. Upon arriving at Horned Dragon planet, our first task is to register for citizenship within the Black Dragon Mountain Empire, securing legal status. By obtaining Black Dragon Mountain Empire citizenship, we gain protection under its laws. Subsequently, we can proceed to open accounts with the Virtual Universe Company. Horned Dragon planetary realms among the top 10 intermediate civilization planets within the Black Dragon Mountain Empire. It is markedly more civilized here, with far fewer instances of barbarism and bloodshed. This environment is safer for novices like Wei Wen and the others, provided, of course, they possess sufficient wealth and status. Without these, they wouldn't even qualify to set foot on Horned Dragon planet. 10 days later. Standing within the spaceship, Wei Wen and the others could clearly observe Horned Dragon planet ahead through the craft's exterior simulation. Encircling the planet's atmosphere were immense artificial star rings, serving as docking ports for spaceship. I've received the guidance signal. Proceed directly to the sea-level docking area, Babata instructed from the spaceship's console screen. The docking port was divided into several major zones, categorized according to spaceship class. For example, C-class spaceship were directed to the sea-level area. Worse. Under the guidance of Horned Dragon planet's docking port, the C5 class Black Dragon Mountain spaceship slowly descended onto the planet. Wei Wen and his companions disembarked, followed by 3 liquid silver guards, an imposing sight at first glance. Though they were only planetary-level warriors, a staff member from the Horned Dragon docking port, himself at the star level, soon approached them with respect. This demonstrated the influential effect of the silver guards as a facade. Dear sirs, welcome to Horned Dragon planet. The parking fee for your C-class spaceship is 600 Black Dragon coins per year, a voice announced. If the stay is less than a year, the charge remains 600 Black Dragon coins. Keep the change, Luo Feng said, waving his hand and tossing a Ganwu coin to the staff member. According to the Black Dragon Mountain Empire's currency exchange, 1 Ganwu coin could be directly converted into 1,000 Black Dragon coins, but 1,000 Black Dragon coins could not be exchanged for 1 Ganwu coin. On the black market, it might take over 1,000, even close to 2,000, Black Dragon coins to obtain a single Ganwu coin. This clearly indicated that Ganwu coins were themselves symbols of status. Traveling in a luxurious X-81 model spaceship and using Ganwu currency led the staff to conclude that their backgrounds were considerable. Maintaining such a pretense could at least spare them many potential troubles. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribers, and share to Infinite Novel Audio. Wei Wen, as a transmigrator, was acutely aware of the universe's cruelty. He would never naively assume the cosmos to be a wholly civilized place. After all, respect followed strength, and power dictated truth. This was the stark reality of Swallowed Star. If you were weak, you would be trampled upon without mercy. If your race was weak, the entire race could be crushed, even enslaved, harvested repeatedly like crops. For the 4 of them, no one would offer aid. They could rely only on themselves. When indigenous planets were first discovered, if they lacked powerful defenders, they faced plunder, just as Earth had originally confronted such a crisis. 3 liquid silver guards, a Black Dragon Mountain X-81 spaceship, descendants of the fallen star. None of this would hold up under scrutiny. In the eyes of outsiders, they were simply indigenous beings, weak, planetary-level natives. They still needed to rely on disguise to retain a shred of dignity on Horned Dragon planet. Otherwise, who would spare a second glance for 4 planetary-level warriors from a backwater world? Thus, if possible, they also needed to purchase slaves, though this posed its own moral dilemmas. Registering for universal citizenship was relatively straightforward. Upon reaching planetary level, one could accomplish it with a small fee, bypassing stringent reviews. Leveraging the prestige afforded by their liquid silver guards, Wei Wen and his companions easily became citizens of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire. Afterward, the 4 of them opened individual accounts with the Virtual Universe Company and purchased several consciousness immersion helmets. Strictly speaking, with the Babata Tower, they didn't actually require these devices. They bought them merely to avoid unnecessary suspicion. As for opening accounts for others, there was no immediate need. Luo Feng had entertained some ideas in this regard, for instance, allowing certain high-ranking individuals on Earth to tentatively explore the universe through anonymous accounts and consciousness immersion helmets, gaining a preliminary understanding of the cosmos. However, Wei Wen dissuaded him. In Wei Wen's view, exposing them to the universe too early would bring more harm than benefit to Earth's people as a whole. At the very least, Earth needed to produce a planetary level to ensure greater safety. Luo Feng's idea had only been a tentative thought, not firmly held. Seeing Wei Wen's objection, he did not pursue it further. After all, Wei Wen's actions had consistently proven his decisions to be wise. That's it for today's chapter. If you enjoyed it, like, comment, and subscribe to Infinite Novel Audio. For more stories, check out my other channel AI Otaku Studio, and I'll see you in the next chapter.